This is the most in-depth full movie breakdown, criticism, and analysis of Marcus and Angela's story from the 2010 film Why Did I Get Married 2 that you will ever see.
Written and directed by Tyler Perry, Why Did I Get Married 2 continues the stories of four couples as they meet up in the Bahamas for their annual marriage retreat, determined to fight for their marriages against the most difficult of challenges. Please note that in this video series on Why Did I Get Married 2, we've decided to create a separate video for each of the couples so that we can fully examine what happens in detail without the time constraints. Be sure to check out our breakdowns of the other couples as well as our full series on the first film, Why Did I Get Married, linked in the description. In this video, we'll focus on Marcus and Angela's relationship.
I'm Heit.
And I'm Cheri.
And you've discovered Axiom Amnesia.
I can't wait to talk about this movie. But first, we want to thank all of the supporters who've helped to make this video possible. If you want your name to appear alongside these contributors, make a one-time donation via Cash App or click the thanks button on this video, or you can head on over to patreon.com/axiomamnesia or become a channel member by clicking the join button to enjoy all of the benefits of becoming a monthly subscriber.
Before he got hurt, Marcus Williams was doing his thing.
I'm so proud of him.
So the first glimpse we get at Angela and Marcus, well, really just Marcus, is that Marcus is on TV. He's on like some, I guess, Sports Center type of show where he's a sports commentator.
I'm talking about cheerleaders.
He has a job, which hopefully will have helped to resolve a lot of the issues from the first movie, because that was really part of the problem, was that he wasn't bringing in any money separate from his job as a barber at Angela's salon.
You really getting on my nerves.
You know, some rope and some duct tape and 3 bags of concrete don't cost all that much.
Diane and Terry are at the airport, talking, and then Marcus and Angela show up and you hear them before you see them because they're arguing loud. And that's just a recurring theme that you're going to notice, is that every time that they pop up, or you hear them before they you see them, and it's like nonstop argument. It's like they never have a time where they're not arguing. And
they're both so quick on their feet. Like, she says something, he says something, and I mean, it's just a constant back and forth. But I guess that's supposed to be the humor of their relationship. But what's funny is a lot of people commented in our video, which will be linked in the description, that we did on them from the first movie, that they really were the best couple and had the best relationship. Because they were the most transparent and the most real, was the reasoning that we would hear a lot of times in the comments. So they're arguing. And of course, Dr. Bob, Terry Bob, he says to them as soon as they walk in, hey, look, can y'all keep it down, because we ain't trying to get kicked out of the airport.
Okay, y'all keep it down. We're not trying to get kicked out of the airport, okay?
So Terry's underlying thing, and we saw this in the first movie, is that he doesn't really want to deal with Angela, especially. He can tolerate Marcus, but he don't want to deal with the fighting. He doesn't want to be embarrassed or anything like that by them going back and forth with one another. So he's trying to tell them up front, hey, quit tripping. But I mean, come on, this is who they are. Like, that's like trying to ask a duck not to swim in water. They're going to do what they do.
So Terry and Marcus go to the counter, and Angela and Diane, they sit and talk. And, every time somebody talks to one of them, they have to talk about how their relationship is bad. And Diane just basically like, what's going on, blah, blah. Y'all always arguing, all this. But she says that Angela responds, ever since he got his hosting job, he thinks he's Mr. Big Shot.
Girl, ever since he got that little hosting job, he thinks he's Mr. Big Shot.
So she's just making up stuff, and she may perceive it to be the case, but it's always just creating a reason, right? Just to justify why their relationship is the way it is. Before, it was with his baby mama and their kids that we'll get to later. But yeah, now it's just, now he got a job and he thinks he's good. He's too good.
And I think that we should look a little bit closer at, he thinks he's a big shot. What does that really mean to Angela? Well, first of all, he has some money, whereas he didn't have money before. So how she was emasculating him in the first movie is not really going to go over the same now because he's, getting some money and notoriety, right? Because he's on TV. And so, she's, I think, upset that she doesn't have that same leverage with him that she had in the first movie, where she could just talk crazy to him because, can Marcus pay a bill? Can Marcus, all of that stuff.
She does it anyway, so it doesn't matter. She can. So she talks mess to him, and it's just the same thing. She pulls out a flask, start drinking, and I don't know what year this is, but you bringing a big old flask onto the...
Can you bring liquids behind the checkpoint? I don't know about that.
Yeah, but anyway...
Maybe she filled it up at the duty-free store behind the checkpoint.
Yeah, she could.
Because she is that type of drinker.
And you can't go to the bar, too, so, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's just weird, I guess, if you're that type of drinker. But then Diane is like, I thought you stopped drinking.
I thought you stopped drinking. Girl, please, with that Negro.
And she's like, oh, you lucky I'm not on crack because of this man. So she shifts her drinking onto Marcus. Angela is her same old Angela. So they go over, the guys do, to talk and try to find out what's happening because their flight is delayed. And the gate agent actually recognizes Marcus, and she becomes like, fangirling over him a little bit.
I love you on Sports Shuffle.
And she's like, oh, and is this your bodyguard talking about Terry? And, they just decide to play along.
It's Kelly. She loves you. Ma'am, we're both married.
So the gate agent says to Marcus, I love you on Sports Shuffle, which I thought was really kind of a great delivery there, even though she had one or two lines in the movie. This actress, I like how she delivered that. And Terry in the mix is just like, oh, we're both married. You're just leading in with that. Shut up, Terry.
Like, it's a fan. It doesn't mean that she's trying to get with this dude. She's like, hey, I seen you on TV, basically.
Yeah.
It just seemed like Terry is a hater.
Yeah. But we could talk more about him in Terry's video because he has a lot that needs to be discussed as usual. You got Marcus here, and Marcus is kind of like enjoying his, I guess, D-list fame or B-list, whatever you want to call it.
That's probably A-list. This
Is it
probably be
A-list
like
fame?
Stephen A. Smith and them,
Okay, maybe.
So
maybe,
everybody knows
he's
him.
newer, but yes. Okay. A lot of people know him. And so the gate agent is like, my dad and I, we watch your show and blah, 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 blah. And, he's all flattered and everything.
Oh, you watch my show, huh?
All the time. Me and my dad, we watch it together.
And, I just think this is like an ego boost for Marcus. Not that Marcus is intending to do anything. He just wants to get on to their, why did I get married retreat. It's not even about all of this. But, then the gate agent says, you and my dad, you're like the same age.
You two are actually the same age.
So it's kind of like womp, 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 a bust to the ego, right? Because, I think that Marcus probably enjoys having the women's eye, but it's not necessarily that he's trying to just do something.
But can I be honest?
Okay.
That's a stupid line.
Really?
Why would she say that? You're like the same age.
Well, because to me, I think that line means from a woman is that I don't
want to get with you.
Yeah, I'm not. That's not where her head is, right?
Oh,
so she's like, I
guess.
love you on sports. So it's showing to me
I
that
just don't know that women do that. So
she's
I
truly
guess.
a fan. Well, so I don't think she's like, I'm going to tell him that he's the same age as my dad, so he knows.
Yeah, but it
No.
happened in the movie.
What I'm saying is that naturally it would happen when you're not interested in the guy, right? If she was interested in him, she wouldn't be comparing him to her father's age, because that's like you're making parallels
But
between.
why can't that just be communicated by saying that my father likes your show?
Yeah, but she's, I guess, giving even more information, right?
Yeah.
Her father is the same age. Whereas if you're trying to get with a guy, I would imagine that you wouldn't be thinking of your father in the same breath as this guy, even though the father is a fan. I think that's what that's supposed to mean in the.
If it was a 20-something-year-old, early 20s, let's just say, woman, and she's like, and I talk to her, I know that I'm probably her daddy's age, or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, and then that's something that young people would say.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be said.
Well, yeah, but that's something that a young girl would say, or a young woman might say, because she ain't thinking about making somebody feel old.
So what she said is realistic because young women probably say it to older guys.
I mean, that's what I think. But from your perspective, maybe it's not as realistic.
That is too bad.
Are you even listening to me?
Give me a minute.
Angela, though, does notice that Marcus is talking to this gate agent. And I mean, they are literally over there to conduct business. They've gone to see when their flight is going to take off or whatever because the flight is delayed. So it's not like, he's just over there trying to be flirting out in the open. But of course, Angela doesn't care anything about any of this. Angela is upset. And so she just basically is just like, well, what the heck is going on? And so she walks over there. It's about to be trouble. As usual, Terry is trying to run interference by saying, 10 o'clock, whatever.
12, 11, 10 o'clock.
That Angela's coming. But Marcus is over here continuing to talk to this girl because, this is a fan and he's all into the moment of this chick fangirling on him. Angela is there. And then Angela is like, go ahead, Marcus, get her number.
You want to write a number down? Go ahead, write a number down.
And then she just goes completely berserk and starts calling the woman a hoe, screaming to the top of her lungs in the middle of the airport concourse.
My husband, Marcus, want to get a hoe's number.
Yeah, it's just a lot going on.
Yeah, really over the top to me, though. Like, Angela's character is always over the top, but...
How do you maintain friendship with people like this if you're so different from them?
I don't know.
Because something like this ain't they're just arguing. Now it's, we seen this at the beginning of the first one, sort of. But now it's with the friends around. And that when you go in public, she's just going to be screaming and yelling and stuff. And I guess that's just strong friendship bond they have. Because I'm not hanging around nobody. If I know that we're going somewhere, we're not going at the same time. We're not flying together. None of that, because this is what you do.
Right.
But we're probably not going to be hanging out at all.
Well, you got to go to the Why Did I Get Married conference given by Dr. Pat. I just feel that she has the potential to be a different character. Well, not a different character, but you playing her short by having her do some of these antics. But then, okay, so here's my question. Can you blame it on alcohol? Because she did just like literally take a swig from the flask. She's probably already been drinking. And maybe that, just kind of makes her more wild and crazy than she normally be. You know how it is when you mix alcohol with stuff. But I don't know.
She's always drinking, so.
That's her baseline is kind of.
So, yeah, we don't know. But that's why they put that there. But she don't seem drunk. So I don't know if the character as it's conveyed or as she portrayed is to be a so-called drunk, where she's just always acting as a quote drunk. Because it don't seem like it in this moment. It's just like, oh, I'm just loud.
Go to the comments and let us know. Do you all feel that Angela is a drunk and that this is partly responsible for her behavior? Or do you think that she's just a social drinker and her personality would be the same regardless?
What?
I'm trying to give some options. Or just share what you think about Angela and her drinking and this wild, crazy scene.
See, get ready. Always.
At the beach house, you hear Marcus and Angela before they get there, and they walk through the door.
Do you think they should have had like a whole second introduction of the arguing? Because it does kind of like water it down a little bit. It's like a repeat of the same thing we saw at the airport.
Yeah.
We know they're going to be arguing.
Did they have to be at the airport with Terry and them? I guess to get the whole, oh, you're a sports commentator person, but even the scene before that, at Terry's home, we saw that he was a commentator.
Well, maybe so that they could fly together and not have liked their flight because they acted a fool, right? Diane and Terry having to witness the shenanigans.
That's not necessary either.
Yeah, I agree.
So they could have just showed, oh, it's the same couple when they show up at the retreat, just the location, we hear them before we see them.
Yep.
They still walked in separate than Terry and Diane anyway, but whatever.
You act like you rich because you on TV. You know that, right?
So they finally do arrive in there. And they're arguing because Angela is also like, well, why did you give him so much money? And Angela is cheap and she just apparently doesn't want to tip, right? And so she's arguing about the amount that he tipped or gave, one of the people they encountered on their way to the hotel.
Y'all didn't know him. I ain't giving you no money. He ain't getting a tip either.
And she talked about how did you have to talk about football the entire way? They don't know you. You're not famous. Just the Bahamas.
They don't have football here. That man don't know you.
I just think that it is drilling home, beating the dead horse that they argue about everything.
Yes.
And that's what happened.
But one thing I wanted to point out, because we had talked extensively in the first video that we did about them from the first movie about class and people who are coming from a different, and we're talking about social class, social and economic class, right? We're not saying she has no class. We're talking about this specific thing in the previous videos. And so I wonder if, the whole idea of tipping, how much to tip and all of that is wrapped up in her notion of whether, you should be tipping people. Because I did notice that sometimes people's idea of how much you should or shouldn't tip, or whether a person even deserves a tip in these situations where they rely on tips, to me, I do believe it's class related.
It's class related and it's cultural, right? Because it's really complicates it, because in the United States, you generally don't do that sort of tipping at, say, like a hotel or something, right? But when you are at a certain class of a hotel, then you may tip.
Right. So like you're not tipping at the Red Roof Inn, but if you go to the Omni or, some really the deluxe nice hotel somewhere and you have a bellhop and all of that, then you would be expected to tip.
Yeah. But I really like how Tyler Perry filmed this scene. So you see the little foyer or whatever it is, and it's long, and then they has this big door behind the other folks. But when they're talking, the people who are talking, you can focus right on them, and you have the closer subjects far off, right, at the edges of the screen, so that you can see the people who they're talking to. But at the same time, when they flip around, he does the same thing. But when you see them and they're in the center, they're really close. So basically, it's very intentional on the way that this was filmed, and I really like that. And I guess you could call it very square.
Yeah. Yeah, I
boxy.
think you also get to enjoy the beauty of where they are. It's not like, oh, we're just in this place. Like you're looking at an amazing view of a beach behind Patricia's character, played by Janet Jackson. And then you're also looking at, when they come in the front door, palm trees and everything out there. It just looks amazing. Looks like paradise, just like Angela said, But Angela does go on to talk about, don't nobody know you and you always want to tip because you think somebody knows you, blah, blah, blah. And why do you think she's acting like this?
I don't know. They just argue.
But to me, I feel like she is a little bit jealous of his notoriety and success, because she's projecting, because I don't know that Marcus thinks he's famous. I think Marcus is just enjoying the bit of notoriety that he has and being happy that he has a job and he's providing and all of that, and he likes what he does, right? Because he's talking about sports and he loves sports. But she, I think, is jealous, and she's just like, you think you're famous. No, you think he's more famous than you're comfortable with. So now you're saying he thinks he's famous, and then you're, projecting all of these feelings that you have about his situation onto him. I think that's what's happening here.
Yeah, but no matter what it is, they're going to argue.
That's true.
Right? So I don't know if I can make much of what they're arguing over anymore. But yeah, just the parts of, now he got a job and he think he's a big shot. It's just kind of the theme there.
So they get into another argument about whether it's a cabana or a beach house, which leads into this whole cheesy mention of the title of the films. Why did I get married? Oh, why did I get married too?
I wonder, why did I get married?
Why did I get married too?
And it's supposed to be like this rhetorical question, but it just was, I think, a cheesy way to put the title of the film in the dialogue of the character. And I
did you watch this in theaters?
I think I did. I feel like I did. But I don't
Do
really
you remember the
remember.
reaction to?
No, I definitely don't remember the reaction. But I think that generally speaking, at this point, anybody who would pay money to be at the theater to see a Tyler Perry film likes Tyler Perry stuff. So I think it would be overwhelmingly positive, unless, of course, maybe they dragged their, male companions.
Yeah,
And
but
they
that don't
didn't
mean
like
that every part is going to hit, right? So
That's
like when they
true.
mention a film, do people just be like, "Oh, look what he done"?
it. So clever. No, I don't know what the response in the theaters was. I don't remember.
I came here to drink, okay? Can you make some of those famous margaritas, Pat?
And of course, the scene has to end with Angela asking for Pat to make margaritas. So she wants to drink some more. So her flask must have run out by the time they get to the house, and she needs a refill on the alcoholic beverages.
Why weren't they greeted with margaritas? Didn't the first couple who showed up get greeted?
Oh, with a drink? Yeah. Yeah. The first couple was Sheila and
Troy.
yeah.
Yeah, so how come they didn't get? It was like they're arguing. Let's not greet them like we
Like,
greet everyone else.
They don't tip.
But
so
you know what this
bringing them
reminded
a
me
drink.
of watching this again?
Huh.
And I didn't mention it with the Sheila and Troy video, but hey, we have it. Y'all go watch it. At the beginning of the movie Old, the M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Oh, yeah.
The beginning, like where they show up and they just greeting you. Hey, here you go. Have a drink.
Yeah.
That's what it was reminding me of.
I love most of M. Night Shyamalan stuff. To me, like, he's second only really to Jordan Peele with those types of movies. I love it. If y'all didn't see the movie Old, I feel like it was on Netflix. It cycled through Netflix a while and was on some of the other streaming. Y'all should check that movie out. I love the concept and it's very interesting. Y'all should watch it.
But for every good day I have at work, I got to go home and go through hell.
So all the guys are out by the beach, on the sand, and we have Marcus talking about Angela. Everybody, the whole point of the conversation is to talk about how crazy Angela is.
She was the one that's always on me about working and making money. Now she got a problem with what I'm doing.
And they're all going in on Angela, except for Troy. Man, Marcus.
And he even joins in later.
Yeah. And Marcus says Angela's got a problem.
I think Angela's got a problem.
And then Tyler Perry jumps in and it just goes off the rails. But then it comes back and he says, I think Angela argues with me on purpose so we can have makeup sex. Like,
Angela argues with me on purpose just so we can have makeup sex later.
Out of nowhere, it makes no sense because we've seen the first movie now.
Yeah.
And that wasn't the case. And just argue about every little thing.
Well, he ain't the most brilliant dude either.
That's true, but it seemed. But we're gonna see in the next scene that that's basically what it is.
Well,
So it's confirmed by the filmmaker.
and so he's not that brilliant, and his logic is not necessarily logicking. But prior to this, he explains the whole scenario, right? He's like, for every good day I have at work, I go home to hell. And now that basically he's making money, she has a problem. She had a problem when he wasn't making money. Now he's making money. She has a problem. And so to me, rather than looking at that as what part of this dynamic is, he's like, I think she just want to argue to have sex. So I don't know. It's very weird.
But then we see that he says that, and we see they argue over every single thing. It's like not 1 minute they're together that they're not arguing. But Gavin says, "What's wrong with that?"
Okay,
Y'all talking
Gavin.
about what's wrong with it.
Duh. And then we also just have to can we get on Marcus talking in metaphors and sports metaphors?
You been crossing the goal line lately? End zone?
What the hell are you talking about, man?
Like, that was something that was weaved throughout this entire film, and I just didn't like it.
Yeah, just football metaphors. And I don't know. It's out of nowhere. And it's like now he got this job. He's just stuck in football metaphors. So I don't know why they would do that. And then they make it seem like the people who watch football, the men here, I'm assuming that they watch football, they're acting like they don't even understand the metaphors. And they're like, what the hell are you talking about? It wasn't that hard to understand the metaphors, that he was saying, how to basically to translate them. It just seemed like cheap jokes, a way to get some cheap jokes.
Yeah, very slapstick. So the guys continue talking and everything. And another thing I wanted to bring up is Terry starts talking about basically, in response to the idea that Angela is fighting to do makeup sex, right? Terry starts talking about, like, he gets all off into the kink of it. Like, I bet you, twisting nipples.
I bet your ghetto ass be like, beat me, Daddy. Punch this nipple. Punch it.
And I'm like, why are isn't there a line sort of like, okay, you could talk about not getting any with your friends, but at what point, like, where's the line in when you talk about what you actually do with your partner, with your friends? Like, I don't know. That was weird to me.
It's very weird. But it just seems like Medea, but we'll talk about that again.
I know we can't stop. We keep talking about Terry, but it's just nuts.
But Terry is driving this whole scene just trying to be funny. And that's just what's happening. All the talk about Angela and all that is basically Terry just going in.
The bad writing of Terry's character here.
I think this probably was improv.
Oh, well, you know what? That's a good point. That's a good point, because then you don't even have to write the script. You're like, we're just going to all pretend that we're sitting around talking about women. And then everybody just says something.
Yeah. But there's something strange in this scene where I don't know if it's film or something or the top of the umbrella, but at the top of the screen, it looks like you can see the end of the umbrella, which kind of bad.
Oh, you can? Yeah. I see
it's
it.
a bad
yellow?
shot. Yeah. Well, no, it looks black at the top in certain parts.
Oh, okay. I'm looking at the far off umbrellas. I see.
Yeah, but I don't think it's... The umbrellas are very smooth at the end, so I don't think this is an umbrella. It might be just some artifact of the film or something that's just not good.
Why? Your book? He cheated, so now what?
Right. So the ladies are in there talking, and then they start to discuss
He cheated, so now what?
Patricia's new book, Craziness, right? And so Angela is explaining how in the book, Patricia's like, oh, I don't have his password, talking about her husband, because I trust him.
I don't have the password to my husband's cell phone. I trust him.
So Angela interprets this as, well, if I don't trust him, then I should have his password.
So I took that to mean that if I don't trust him, then I should have it.
Now, the whole thing is supposed to be that it's absurd that Angela thinks this. But if you're logicking, why isn't that logical?
Why isn't it logical? Because it's if. It wasn't an if.
I don't have his password because I trust him. So Angela says, since I don't trust him.
Yeah.
So Angela wants to assume that the reverse
You
is
don't have his password because you don't trust him. That could be the case.
So Angela gets on this whole thing, right? Because she's like, she obviously doesn't trust Marcus, her husband. So she's like, I should have the password. And of course, she asks him for the password, and he does his usual, know what I'm saying, and tells her lies and whatever to keep her off of his phone because he don't want her to have the password.
Yeah.
And Angela wants the password. The other ladies in the room go around and talk about how, oh, I have his password. That's what Terry Bob's wife says, because, he gave it to her and, they go in each other's phones. We talked about this in more detail in the video that we did on Sheila and Troy about this whole password thing. So we won't rehash that conversation. But suffice to say that depending on the relationship, like, I don't see anything wrong with having a password.
Yeah.
And these days, there are so many freaking passwords. Like, there's a password to log into your email. There's a password. Like, how do you even keep up with it? Okay, y'all.
Password manager.
Heit forgets his passwords a lot if he makes any passwords that are, off the beaten path. And it's always like, oh, okay, I got to log into this. And then he'll always have to reset the password.
Let me tell you what all these, I guess it's the security folks for the software engineers. But what they're really doing, software makers, they're saying that you cannot reuse a password. So it's saving all of your passwords. And then you can't reuse a password that you've already used. So if you use any combination of the same passwords, then you're going to run out of passwords. And then it's, hey, let me add some more symbols somewhere in this password.
I don't know. Like, maybe it has to be like a social security number. Not the password is your social security number, but you know how a social security number is made up of certain things. Like it tells the region where you were born, like the first 3 digits. And
yeah,
I don't know, the second 2 digits tell something, right? So maybe you have to come up with something like the first one is always a certain thing. The second one is always something else. I don't know. I'm just throwing stuff out there. Like the first one is always a color. The second one is always,
don't ever forget it because then you're going to have to change it. And I recently I had to add a space. It was like, you got to have a space in your password. Like, what in the world? I'm never going to remember this.
Yeah, it's bad. It's really bad. But back to the idea of passwords and like, what's the word? Trust. It's weird because you brought up something the last time we were talking about this, because I was mentioning, we were talking about that, we do have each other's phone pad. Well, you can put your thumbprint in and, get in each other's phones, but like we're not running through each other's phones. And you brought up the point about how it is, how like giving a person access like that is trusting, because you're trusting them not to just be a freaking snoop, through things, not that you're, necessarily doing anything, but you know what I'm saying.
Or whatever else. So we know that relationships don't work out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the vindictive things people do at the end of a relationship. So you have to even trust that if it doesn't work out, that everything is just going to be cordial and fine.
Well, and it's kind of like, it reminds me of like people who tell each other secrets. Back to this movie, right? How Mike just busted everybody's secrets out at the table at the last in the last movie. And I mean, deep secrets that could have shattered their marriages type of secrets, right? And it's like, if you're a longtime friend with somebody and they, knew your secrets, and then you guys, your friendship breaks up and you're not friends anymore. Like, should you expect that all your business is going to be out on the town? And a lot of people will do that, but I don't know. I think that's dirty.
Yeah.
Real
but
dirty.
What is the genre of this film? If I
is
look
it a romantic comedy?
It says it's a comedy drama, so I guess it's a romantic comedy, but it seems that Angela and Marcus are just the comedy. Everyone else is just drama. So they serve as just the comedy of the movie. And I guess in this one, Terry is trying to be funny, but other than that, yeah, it's just that couple is the comedy for the film.
Well, and I'm trying to think of any other filmmaker I know who makes movies where like where things like we know have happened in this movie happen, and very dramatic stuff, but it's really juxtaposed against comedy. Now, I don't know. There's this one movie called Little Miss Sunshine, but that was mostly comedy and one bad thing happening, right? This is a movie where like every couple has like a traumatic thing occur in this film, but yet you got all this comedy going on. I don't know. Maybe it's something that, and y'all have seen a lot of films. Tell us in the comments if you can think of a movie that is like, I'm a comedy, but I'm also a drama. It's like, I'm going to combine Coming to America and The Color Purple.
It's where it's separate. You have just the storylines that are in it. That's drama. And then you got this separate thing over here. That's comedy. I think it's trying to be two movies.
And I think a lot of dramas, you can have funny things that happen in a drama, right? But like not where it's punchline after punchline. You look at what the character Terry played by Tyler Perry, where you look at him, it's punchline after punch. When he's on the screen, he's telling joke after joke after joke
like
in the
Madea.
middle of all of this stuff. Yeah, just like Tortilla. We talked about that when we covered Terry and Diane in the last movie, which, by the way, you can go watch if you haven't seen it.
Then maybe this is Tyler Perry having you eat your vegetables. I want to teach you about marriage and relationships and all of this, but I need to put Angela and Marcus in here.
Yeah.
So that you'll watch it.
Yeah. And then, and maybe to give everybody something to relate to, right? Relating to all the different stuff, infidelity, suspected infidelity, folks breaking up, getting with a new partner, and dealing with the threesome of, of the new partner and the old partner, and baby mamas, and everything that happens in this film. So yeah, that could be it. So the girls are all still sitting around talking. And do you think it's wrong for Angela to want his password? That's my question. In the comments, tell us that. Heit, what do you think?
To want it for these reasons, yes. I think it is wrong. Because the only reason she wanted, she's like, I think he's cheating and I just want your password so that I can confirm it, basically.
Right. And, a lot of people argued in the last video where we were talking about how Angela was the one who saw that Mike was cheating with Trina, and her not saying anything. And it was so that she could get the proof, and so he couldn't wiggle his way out of it and all of this and that. Now, that wasn't her marriage at that point. But also they said the same thing about why she didn't tell that she had an STD that she'd gotten from somebody. So she lets her husband have this STD and be running around with the STD and didn't tell him, like she's playing with his health. And a lot of you justified it by saying that, well, she had to be able to all the way catch him and she couldn't catch him. So I'm like, for the sake of catching him, you gonna risk somebody's health? Really?
But see, part of it too is I think it's based, a lot of people base it on not actually being in a, I guess you could call it a committed relationship. So the relationship is with a person who you kind of really don't know. So that you really don't care about their well-being or stuff, and you play all these games back and forth, right? But even if, let's say, he was cheating, there's still a relationship of a marriage, which I look at as different. So even coming out of it and what the consequences are going to be is probably going to be different. So whether or not he's cheating or allowing him to just have this disease and all kind of stuff, it's just very troubling.
Yeah. And then my next question is, all right, here's my deal. Okay, so let's say she gets the password. She looks through the phone and she finds some, because Angela gonna find something, right? There'll be something that she feels is cheating because Angela thinks everything is cheating. But let's say that there is confirmed evidence that he has cheated. What is Angela gonna do? Is she gonna leave him? Do y'all think? Go to the comments. Tell us if Angela found that he was cheating, would she leave Marcus? So why is she so wanting to know if he's cheating? Like, why are you so obsessed with this? Because he was cheating in the past. He has cheated with his baby's mama and probably other people too, right? So what is the obsession with finding out if this man is cheating when she's already shown she ain't going nowhere? Man. She's not going to do anything with that information other than harass him with it.
Dopamine.
What?
It's just what you're addicted to, right?
You just have to,
There's these chemicals in your brain and causes you to do these things. And I'm just like being obsessed with something like that is you're getting something out of it, whether positive or negative, based on, the chemicals of your brain.
Well, let me tell you something. The female wisdom of the ages, because I know a lot of y'all out there don't seem like you really have any aunties or grandmas or anything like that.
Bruh.
And since some of y'all think we old anyway, I'll go ahead and I will be the vessel through which I pass down some of the female ancestral wisdom on such things. Now, some of y'all gonna be like, oh no, your grandma wasn't happy and this and that. But here's the thing. What are you going to do? And this is for any type of information, not just, cheating and all that. When you're looking for information, what are you planning to do with that information? You got to know that going in, because in this case, she finds out that he's cheating. She knows she's not leaving. She's not busting up their household. So now you're making yourself completely miserable. Now, some people say, well, I need to know the truth. Well, she already know the truth. You may not know the particulars of that truth in that moment, but you already know the truth. Now,
if you just know, if you I know he's cheating, then all right. So
now, at first, but there are some women who are like, when I find out, his butt is getting served with papers that same day. So I'm doing this because I need to know for myself whether or not I'm moving forward with this relationship. To me, that's a completely different situation. And, in that case, I would say, find out whatever information you need to find out so that you can move forward. But here's the thing. What if whether you snoop or do whatever, you get a private agent or, because people do crazy stuff, right? To find out, is this person cheating? What if you find out that they're not cheating?
Do you tell them?
Do you tell them that you had such little confidence in them and the situation?
No, because then they're not going to trust you. It's just
what if they
bad.
find out? Like, there's so many destructive things that can happen.
Yeah, but the whole thing
is
about trust, and you know that the person's not going to trust you, so then you don't reveal that you distrusted them and done this thing and didn't find anything.
And from so that brings me back to the beginning thing. Like, okay, what is the password going to do for you though? Like in terms of Angela's purposes of it, because she just wants to go through his things and snoop through his things and invade his privacy. What is it going to do? And I would say the same thing if he wanted her password, because you know what? It wouldn't surprise me if the reason Terry, Dr. Bob, gave his password was so he could be up in Diane's business. Now, we'll get to their conversation later because, Diane was Diane was on the verge or had fallen off the cliff in some areas of that relationship. But the point is that I don't think it's limited to just women who want to maybe snoop and do all of that. But if you're going to be snooping, like, what you going to do about it? That's the question you need to be answering before up front and foremost with anything, but that's my soapbox of little tidbit of information that had been passed to me. So they're all sitting around talking and everything, and they're looking at Angela like she's crazy because she wants this password. They know Angela is out there, and I don't think anybody, I don't know, I go back to the fact that, are y'all real friends? Because I just feel like you don't have the guts to say the things to each other that really need to be said. And in this case, it would be like, girl, look, are you leaving your mate? Because if I'm Angela's friend, I'll be like, look, what you gonna do with that password? But make yourself crazy and miserable. She already drinking and blaming it on her situation with him. So, I don't know. But they sit around and do their usual surface mess, and she's left looking crazy.
Ooh, what's going on in here?
Oh, hell no, Mike. What are you doing here?
So the next thing we know, Mike busts in and crashes the party. He's not supposed to be there, but he claims that he's got part of the timeshare, blah, 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 and he's there to share time.
Look, I own part of a timeshare. I'm here to have a good time.
And so he has come to the singles retreat. We talk about this in detail in the video that we did on Sheila and Mike and Troy. So we won't rehash that whole thing, but suffice to say, the math wasn't mathing on the whole timeshare excuse for him being there.
But Mike and Angela go back and forth as usual, and that's what happens. But I think that Angela and Mike have something going on.
What you mean?
That they're doing stuff with each other.
Shut up.
So
oh my gosh.
If you look at
no, listen, this is a breakdown of the movie. This is not for you to make a fan theory about them.
So Angela and Marcus, their relationship, all they do is argue back and forth, right? But Angela, with the other men, it isn't like that. But Angela and Mike certainly is the same relationship that she has with Marcus. That is the way she deals with her
sexual partner. Listen, y'all, do y'all hear this? Y'all, if you think that maybe back in the day at some point, Angela and Mike in college, the one late night, Mike was a hoe anyway, and Angela might have had a few too many to drink. Do you think that maybe they had done something and nobody knows, and that this is the secret that Tyler Perry has hidden as an Easter egg within his already tumultuous, crazy story?
Part 3, Tyler.
Does Heit have a point? Actually, you know what? I'm laughing at you, but seriously, that is a good observation. That relationship is very similar, except we just don't see them actually make up on screen.
Yeah, and could it be that in part 1 she was kind of jealous that he was with Trina?
Ooh, that's why she hated Trina so much.
Bruh.
Oh, y'all, listen.
Do we just need a whole fan theory on that?
We can explore that whole thing. But just say you heard it first here, that Angela and Mike might have had a thing going on at some point. That's a really good observation, though. It never occurred to me that was the situation. But you're right. Ooh, and how would Marcus feel about that?
We're getting real crazy up in here.
Okay, let me stop, because that's just a whole separate video.
It is.
We gonna make that video. We gonna make that video. All right, so they come in and they're going back and forth with each other, but notice Angela's the only one who confronts him. The other friends always sit there like they don't know what to say. It was the same story back in Why Did I Get Married 1 when Mike shows up with Trina, his side piece, at the couples retreat. Nobody had anything really to say.
Yeah.
The women are sitting there silent.
Yeah. And he has time to just talk to, Sheila and antagonize her. But Angela is kind of the only one who has something to say.
And it goes back to the whole thing. And I feel this more than ever. Like, really, Angela was Sheila's only friend. Angela, she was the one who was her real friend. These other two, I don't know.
For the last 3 months, I've been real happy. A happy woman makes a happy home.
Was that a bad edit?
What?
So before, when the men were outside, they were talking, and Marcus asked Terry about, in the past 3 months, has you really scored a touchdown, got past the goal line, right? And then they go into the house, and you see the women, and some time passes, and here comes Mike. And then when he gets back outside, he's talking about, 3 months been blah, blah, blah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Could have been a bad edit.
I don't know. Yeah, just continuity. Maybe, I don't know. I don't want to go back and listen again, but yeah, that's just what I thought.
It's torture enough.
What the hell is he doing here?
Who?
Hey, fellas!
So Mike goes out and announces himself to the guys and
Bruh.
everything.
And Terry asks, hey, did you go through the house? Did the women see you?
Did you come through the house?
Yeah.
Did the women see you?
Yeah, they saw me.
And they didn't, what did they say? Mike says, oh, Angela, she said, oh, hell no. And then everybody started laughing at the fact that Angela don't want the dude who blew up everybody's spot at the last retreat, at a previous retreat there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just funny that she got a problem. And all of y'all, can you believe that she said, oh, hell no?
My part of the timeshare. So I'm here sharing my time.
Yeah, and then they keep going, and Mike just downs Angela to her own husband, and he's like, hold on, that's my wife now, that kind of thing. And so here's the deal with all of these guys, minus Troy, because he's not really a complete part of this group at this point. It's that it's been proven Mike is, for whatever reason, their friend. And they gonna ride for Mike in spite of all of his foolishness that he's done. They're going to just let him continue to infiltrate their group and sow dissension in the ranks, cause problems between people, ruin expensive vacations. And they're just like, well, what did the women say? Because if the women didn't say nothing, we sure ain't going to do nothing. This is all these folks with twigs and berries sitting over here who's supposed to be the protectors of the situation.
Yeah, but we asked about in a community tab, after this, did Mike die? And a lot of people said no, but there were some people who were like, no, because evil people don't die and all this, right? A bunch of people said that. But in theater, in cinema, in literature, you always have those people like that who, like, what's the Dome, that TV show where you're watching this and there's always just the most terrible person who gets to lead the group.
Yeah.
And then they never leave. And you need that because the reason that people like this movie, one of the reasons, is the drama. That's why Mike showed back up here. And you just need that drama because everyone loves a good drama.
Imagine what a snooze fest it would have been without Mike there. Sheila and Troy's relationship would have had a few little bumps because they financial problems. But it wouldn't have blown up like it did here.
Like soul food. But yeah, at the end of this scene, Mike is like, he want to go out and go on the jet skis or something. And what does Marcus say?
Marcus said he ain't gonna go. He does another sports metaphor.
Nah, man, the wake effect has got me sitting on the sidelines, brother.
What?
Mike is like, what?
Some weather reference. I thought.
No, it wasn't reference. It was about like seasickness sort of a thing. Lake, I don't know.
Oh, the lake effect. I think he said the lake effect got me on the sideline.
Something got him on the sideline. But anyway, everybody uses an analogy of the sideline or a sideline metaphor. So it's not out of place or necessarily a blatant football reference for somebody to say, hey, this got me on the sideline, for everybody to look at them strange like, what? You said sideline.
Yeah, well, I mean, they do make it sort of like he's talking nonsense. But at the end of the day, you all are sports, at least one of you. Okay, maybe Terry is not a sports fan, but come on now. You know that Gavin is a sports fan.
You don't have to be a sports fan to know what the sideline is because it's used across the board in every aspect of life. Just about.
True. That's true. A lot of analogies and sayings have mentioned the sideline.
Yeah,
so,
you're on the sideline.
But yeah, so that is I don't. That's like some weak writing, but they just were like. I say they. Tyler Perry was just like, I'm going to have about these 10 clever statements, and he probably just wrote them down and weaved them in throughout the movie. Right. I got these 10. He going to say these 10 things.
And the previous one about crossing the goal line and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
A sports reference is used about sex. Home run, first base, second base, all of this. So, it's just, it's a very common analogy or metaphor there. So
I think once he committed to it and said he's gonna say these metaphors throughout and he gonna just keep dropping them, that was his comedy, right?
Tyler Perry don't know enough about football to know that these are very common.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me because he don't know enough about the other stuff that he writes about, and things are off too, right?
Yeah, because like maybe he could have had some just uncommon sort of references.
Well, and I've been thinking about it because we talked about how Tyler Perry's dialogue and the things he would say, and like for instance, how Terry would always talk about, "I'm a doctor," or "Patricia, I'm a doctor," and then like if you actually know doctors in your own life, I don't know, and I've known a few. Hello, personally, I don't know that many who go around and go, "I'm a doctor." That's just not like
Maybe
so it's not realistic.
Most doctors come from doctors. So maybe that informs us about her class.
That wouldn't surprise me. We had the opportunity to go to a medical school graduation. How many years? Maybe like 5 years ago?
Long time ago.
6 years ago. And we were there. And it was very surprising to me how many of the people who were becoming doctors at this university, a prestigious university, by the way, had parents, one or both, who were doctors. And we know this because the parent participated in the hooding ceremony if they were a physician. So this is how we know. It had to be half or more. You say
more
it's
than
more.
half.
It was more than half who had at least one parent who was a physician. Some of them, both parents were. Which brings us to this whole conversation. And we are actually getting to this movie, but there are just so many things that come up. And you guys tell us all the times in the comments how much you love the stuff that we make you consider that you never thought when you watch this movie. And this is one of them, right? Because it's back to that whole discussion of class. You are likely to become whatever it is you come from. Likely.
Yeah, people don't really change classes often.
That's why they've been saying the apple don't fall far from the tree, right?
Yeah.
That's where these types of sayings
or a rising
come
tide
from.
don't lift all boats.
A rising tide don't lift all boats. Oh my gosh. This is why they say it, because what? Because you're going to imitate usually what you see around you. So if
Not even imitate, it's just.
Well, but think about this. If normal life for you is that you have a parent who's a physician who has odd hours, and they come in with their doctor's bag or whatever, and they're like, "Oh, I did this or that or the other," then that's normal for you, and you imitate that. So then when you go out in the world and get ready to seek a normal life, then it wouldn't be odd that you might want to do that. Also, if you think, and even if you don't think you have great parents, but I would say if you think that, if you look up to and admire your parents, and I would say that a lot or most people do, because these are your first teachers in life, your mother and your father usually, and maybe your grandparents, then you want to be like them. In just the same way as you imitate other things that they do. I would imagine a boy might imitate his father in certain ways. A girl imitates her mother. It doesn't stop at their profession.
Yeah, but one thing too is what you think is normal about life, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just that, okay, people don't go off and get degrees or whatever. So there aren't, for some people, it's no plans to, or an expectation that, I go to college and get a degree. I graduated. I'm from high school. I'm just out here. I'm going to apply to different jobs. Or,
it lets you know what the possibilities are. And it's not just this way for physicians, right? If your parent is an attorney, you are more likely to become an attorney than anything else. We just heard that statistic on some podcast, something we were listening to, where they were talking about people who had parents who were attorneys. But so it's like that. I mean, if you're your parent is a candlestick maker, you're probably more likely to become a candlestick maker than other people
because
in
part
the society.
Of it is nepotism as well. So let's say you are blue collar, your parent may help you get a job down at the factory.
Yeah.
Right? So, or if you're in, Hollywood, your parent may help you get a job in the business.
Or if your parent ran their own business, they may, you starting your own business when you're 22 doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal, because everybody else in your family is entrepreneurs and running their own businesses.
Yeah. On a side note, we had, a client, a potential client who were like third or fourth generation in home furniture.
Yeah.
It was very strange because, hey, you learn this one person in the family does this, their kids do this, their kids doing the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly how it is. And, when they got ready to do their business and were successful, they went out, and it's funny because they didn't take over their family businesses. And these are people who are extremely successful, like multi-million-dollar corporations that they were able to create over these generations. They didn't say, I'm waiting for granddaddy's business.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for granddaddy to get out of his business. No, their grandfather started his business. Then their father, right, started his own furniture business. And now they are starting. So these are 3 different companies. And what's interesting is, I don't know if they each specialize. I think they did each specialize kind of in a certain aspect of.
Yeah, a certain type
of furniture, so that they still complemented one another. But they are 3 separate companies with their own thing. I'm telling you, you know. Oh my gosh. If our community could have more of that, things would be a lot easier financially, at least.
But it starts off with the finances, right? To be able to pass down to do that. Mm-hmm. That's why class is always at the front of my mind.
And you know what's funny too, because people oftentimes will be like, oh, you know, you're a person who is snobby or whatever like that is snobby for a reason. And, you know, they're snobby for no reason. Right. And they just want to be mean. And that's just how they are. No, actually, I think, and this is not in defense of classism and people acting that way. But what I have found, especially with Black folks, is that when families have worked hard to get to a certain point, they are going to be very shoulder to shoulder, not wanting people who they think might ruin what they've worked hard for to come into the family. And it's not really that different for, you know, no matter what level of class you're talking about. You know, if your family is vacation up and has a house on Martha's Vineyard and stuff, you know, it's going to be very hard for somebody who comes from a working class background to be able to come into those environments and be, you know, more than quote unquote the help, right? Are they really wanting you to marry their daughter?
Yeah.
For those very same reasons. So these are the dynamics of class that we often talk about. And a lot of times I think people in our community are shut out because of that, you know.
And it's not to say that, it's not to be in defense of it, because I'm definitely not in defense of like a caste system,
right?
You know, or classism, but it's just one of those things that's just pervasive.
It's an explanation. It's not a defense, you know.
Yeah, and it helps to inform writing.
Yeah.
Especially when you're trying to make something at least kind of realistic, you know. And it helps me to interpret what I'm seeing, because I assume that the text is within this realm.
Yeah. I agree with you on that. Back to the story. We have Mike, who has just busted up everything, and focusing on Marcus in this scene. Marcus is very much a go along to get along kind of guy, but he at least does say, nah, Mike, I'm not trying to really hang with you like that. But I think he's saying it more so because he is trying to be a part of the group with the other guys. Not because if Mike was there by himself, he would have been on the jet skis with Mike. That's what I think.
Yeah.
You know, and he probably wants to get back inside and find out what's going on, because his wife is going to be upset, and that's going to, make more arguments.
Maybe we should leave then.
I'm with you.
No, guys, we spent our last to be here. We're not leaving.
So then once they all reconvene inside, you see Angela and Marcus there with the rest of the couples, and they're all basically talking about Mike and how he needs to go. And Diane says, maybe we should leave. And Angela's like, yeah, now we're talking or something like that. She agrees. And it makes sense to me that, hey, if he's in this space, you don't want to be here, you can always decide to leave.
Yeah. But so what's really crazy is it's about Mike being there, and Sheila is the one like, we spent our last, so we gonna stay here with Mike.
Oh my gosh. He got to go, you know, but at the end of all of this, it turns out that, you know, they're not going to do one doggone thing.
Yeah, but they should have just left then. Y'all got some money to go somewhere else. I'm sure you can find some spot, depending on which weekend this is.
Exactly. And you got Angela. Angela's like, hey, you know, y'all be rational. Because, of course, Patricia's like, everybody calm down. You got to be rational. And
but if this fool gets out of line, I'm taking it straight to the streets.
Then Terry's like, oh, y'all, you know, y'all be rational. She gonna be ghetto.
Y'all be rational. She gonna be ghetto.
Talking about Angela. And I'm like, okay, so see, in the last movie, we never saw anyone call Angela ghetto except for Mike. He makes that reference about her being ghetto. But nobody else
While they're
does.
having an argument.
Right. Now, You got Terry making her the butt of the joke about being ghetto. And see, like, to me, this is the part where I'm like, okay, it's not nice because ghetto is obviously being used as a pejorative here. You know, it's not that ghetto is a good thing. You know, whereas, honestly, the way that Angela is explaining it, she's basically like, you know, I'm from Camden and I'm basically going to get to the bottom of this. So she's the one who's actually willing to be the most direct and handle the situation.
And to not allow this dude who, when Terry then brought up what happened in Colorado, allow him to just be amongst the group still doing what he's doing. Like,
yes, but that's being labeled as ghetto while the rest of you spineless folks sit around and let somebody that you calling your friend and her new husband be uncomfortable while the man that tried to break up all y'all's marriages is just comfortable and up in the same house.
And for a quick tangent, ghetto is always used as a pejorative, well, a lot of the times, but I think I guess it's kind of hard to turn a tide on that. But to me, it describes, I guess, what we consider as, you know, the black hood, you know, the ghetto, right? Mm-hmm. So it could be like the ghetto. What is ghetto is producing some of the best sports talent in the world. That's ghetto, right? Being able to swing a racket like the Williams sisters do is ghetto, right? Or just not having enough money to get by and pay your rent is ghetto at times, right? It's ghetto. Like, but just to use it as a slur to me is just terrible. And we've adapted this because of, I don't know, so we're not going to get into the reason why. But yeah, for someone to be from the ghetto and to think that to be ghetto or to be in the ghetto says something negative about that person is very terrible and is detrimental. Because there's nothing wrong with being ghetto. It's nothing wrong with living in the ghetto, being from the ghetto. Because
it all points back to like this
capitalism and class.
That and this indictment of people for being poor.
Yeah.
And if you're poor, it's wrong, and you're wrong because you're poor. Basically.
Yeah. But and you live in society as a poor person.
I would also say in the terms of the use of the word ghetto, I do think that ghetto accurately describes a lot of things if we could do it without the subtext.
Ghetto, it just points to the innovation and the style and creativity of certain people in the United States. Because most of it is, oh, you ghetto because you, I don't know, put plastic over your window when it got busted. Yeah. Because you probably couldn't afford a window.
The ingenuity, right?
Yeah.
All of that, but that's
ghetto. You ghetto because you wear certain type of clothes or your hair a certain way, or right? And it's nothing negative about that, but it's used as negative because of, you know, just the hate for what's considered a lower class when it's just economics.
Let's go and unpack so we can finish having our discussion.
Marcus and Angela's part of the scene ends with them going upstairs to essentially have makeup sex.
Yeah.
As was referred to earlier. And is it even makeup sex? Because are you even quote unquote fighting? Right? If your baseline is constant bickering, then are you really mad at each other in that moment? Or are you just having sex?
Yeah, we'll see more about that. It's definitely not makeup. But one thing he did do was a really terrible sports analogy, right? Talking about to prevent the other team from scoring points.
We can run interference to keep Mike from scoring any points against the opposing team.
But Angela's went harder. I don't know what she said about can't get your men out of the dugout or whatever.
Yeah.
That was so fly.
You can't get nobody off the 50-yard line because you can't get your little sliders out of the dugout.
She said you can't get anybody past the 50-yard line because you can't get your little sliders out of the dugout.
So what does that mean?
I don't know, like maybe what I was saying in the last video about shooting blanks, or he can't get it up, you know what I mean? Like it just sounds like you can't get her to where she needs to be for some deficiency in your sexual prowess.
Yeah, but like weren't they just talking about something totally different with like his career though?
This character is just doesn't make sense, right? So she's just always saying stuff and all kind of stuff out of place, right? They're just here for the comedy.
But I need okay, listen, y'all say that we make these movies better. All right, we see plot holes, we see problems in the writing.
Okay.
I need for her to be the fool who says like these amazing things.
I can make it make sense.
Make it make sense. Come on.
To me, when I hear that, what I just previously said is what I hear. right? But it can be in this context. He's talking about we don't want Mike to score for the get points against the opposing team. We don't want Mike to, basically upset Sheila and Troy.
That's how I took it.
Right? And then what she says, and everybody laughs, oh, ha, ha, ha. And he's like, I've been hosting too long. And then she says that you only working on the weekend, right? So his mental deficiency is this. He can't get the sliders out the dugout. He can't think. You know what I'm saying? He's not sharp. He can't get anybody past the 50-yard line. He can't get anybody to understand what he's talking about. He can't, express himself properly. So that's the way I could make it mean something.
And another way that I could make it mean something else in this scene too, which is not exactly what she was talking about, but I think the case can be made for it, is that the little sliders that won't get out the dugout is the spineless folks that sitting around here that won't handle Mike. You can't get them to get on the field and do what they need to do and lead and leave or lead. Either one, right? You can't get them to do what they need to do in order to make the score, so to speak. You can't get them to do what they need to do.
Yeah. So, but see, that's the thing. And we have another channel called Axiom Amnesia 2.0 where we talked about the film Training Day.
Yes.
And there's this whole talk about this, about the
story with the
snail
snail
and all of this, right? Is that some people can make meaning just out of things, right?
Sure.
So that's what I was saying.
Men.
I guess I'm a con man, a wordsmith, right? But what I was saying in that video is that, you could just throw stuff in these movies and then it just basically gives it a deeper meaning depending on the depth of the observer or the viewer.
Well, what I say is this. Use your powers for good and not evil. And that's the difference between somebody who is a con artist and somebody who just analyzes and can see things that and make connections that maybe other people didn't necessarily make that make people think about stuff, right?
Yeah.
That's the difference between us and a con man.
Yeah, so that would be the thing too, where it's supposed to be a knock that Marcus is making all these sports references and stuff, and they happen to just all be football. But nobody understands him, but y'all just not up on his level. Or
and
can't
in her
just
case, wasn't she
interpret
talking
it
about
yourself.
multiple sports?
Yeah,
too?
she was.
Because she's talking about the
50-yard
dugout,
line and the sliders
baseball
out of the
reference
dugout.
with the football reference.
But I'm talking about Marcus, where nobody seems to act like they understand him, but most of the stuff he's saying is very simple.
What the hell are you talking about, man?
Right? So what does that say about all of these educated people?
Well, what he's saying is very simple, but it's cloaked in a lot of unnecessary word salad type of stuff, right?
But they make specific quotes like, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah.
And saying what? Like they don't understand it. And I guess that's just how some people act though too, when they're gonna act like they don't understand what you're saying when they know exactly what you're saying.
A lot of people want to act like too Angela is stupid. Now let us be clear. Angela is both street smart and intelligent, because I don't know anybody who's really able to get a chemistry degree. Okay. And it's just stupid. Because if you ever had to do any of those problems, the chemistry problems, like that's not for the faint of heart. You know what I'm saying? Those things are not simple-minded sorts of tasks. Now, does that mean that she's, the smartest person in the world? No, but she's far from stupid. But she has also exhibited that she is not only intelligent when it comes to her, to the academic side of things, but she's also street smart, clearly. Right?
Yeah.
So
then, especially with like scientists like that and math and stuff, it's like a lot of conceptual stuff that you don't understand till much later on.
Well,
like in chemistry, why would someone come up with a mole? Like, why is this a thing? And then you do everything in mole,
And like, why do I even have to do this mole stuff? Or, why do I have to balance both sides of this equation? Like, this is just silly. But, but yeah, that's how it goes. So at the end of it all, if you're not even in the position to really assess her level of intelligence, what she's what her background is, and let's think about what she's done. Like, she not only got her degree in chemistry, and then she put it to use and started her own, hair and skincare product line, right? That's what she's making money besides her salon. That's her business. They wouldn't fund her business for her to make her product, so she went and did it herself. Right? So she's
That's
an entrepreneur. Ghetto. Yeah, that's real ghetto. You went and got you a little LLC.
Right, no, not that. She actually...
You know how folks do if you have your own business.
But I'm saying what's ghetto is they shut you out and you make your own way.
Yeah. But she made her own way and became quite successful at it. So, like, I think that we also have to recognize that her level of genius to do this, right?
Yeah.
And tenacity and all that.
Those other personal flaws, though, is just very...
Yeah, they're very glaring.
Yeah.
So anyway, so they decide they're going to have, go upstairs to get a little nookie on, and they leave the room.
Shoot, last time I was here, I caught a fish that was 13 feet long, know what I'm saying?
So the next thing we see is this nice fishing trip that all the guys minus Troy go on together. And it's because, the guys are really Mike's friend, and they just edged out Troy. They don't care. And we laughed in the last video we did about Troy, and Sheila talking about Troy was back in the where is Troy right now was the question you asked, and we agreed that he must be back in the hotel room broke and broke and alone because his wife is out with her friends and he's not with the guys.
Yeah. So they basically get into this conversation about whether or not Sheila has been asking about Mike and all of this stuff. And Mike is just asking everybody if she's was thinking about him basically.
Sheila talk to Angela about me?
No, like never.
And we all know that Marcus, when he lies, he say, "Know what I'm saying?" Right? Because he was talking about he caught a 13-foot long fish. Know what I'm saying? Right?
Yeah.
So then Mike decides to ask Marcus, and Marcus says no. And she ain't mentioned you nothing to his wife, right? Because that's the conversation. Did Sheila talk about Mike to Angela?
Right.
And I'm going to credit Tyler Perry again. I like what he did here because he used Marcus as a lie detector. So we know from the first movie and this movie, he said, "You know what I'm saying," right? Even though it's a little cheesy and wrong, right? But now we know for a fact that Sheila didn't mention him.
He was lying. You would know he lied.
Because Marcus confirmed it because he would have said, "Know what I'm saying?" And that's how the rest of the group knew too.
Sheila never talks to Angela about me.
No.
And it's very meta because now the audience know because he didn't say, "Know what I'm saying?" Because they asked him again about the fish and he said 13 feet. Know what I'm saying?
How big was the fish?
13 feet. Know what I'm saying?
Did she ask Angela about me? And he didn't say, "Know what I'm saying?" Lie detector test through a movie. Genius.
Yeah, that was pretty clever. But one thing that dawned on me during this scene is that Marcus really is playing the typical dumb jock trope.
Bruh,
that's really
exactly
what
I was going to talk about.
Well, listen, we are on the same page again. All right, well, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say about the part where they asked about the fish. He said, "You know what I'm saying?" They start laughing. He don't know why they laughing, right? And then he like, "Why didn't Troy come?" And Terry's like, "You got to ask, and then let me explain it to you. You're sitting right next to him." And then they do the whole exchange of the lie detector, and he still doesn't know because everybody starts laughing. He's like, what? And it just solidified that he's just an idiot.
Okay.
And then the whole sports thing supposed to make him seem dumb too.
And I think he's trying to feel smarter, right? He's speaking in these metaphors and, trying to be deep, but he's sounding like a fool to other people around him, which if the people around him who generally are smarter than he is could really, if they wanted to understand him, they could. It didn't take that much brain power, right? For us to kind of talk about what he was trying to communicate. But let me just say this. I'm going to loop this whole discussion back to Angela and say that this is the crux of their relationship issues when it boils down to it. Angela is smarter and more intellectually adept, way more than Marcus.
Okay. So how lazy is it to make the football player or the sports player the dumb one?
Yeah, that's lazy writing. Because but see the problem. Well, could you be the dumb architect?
Yes,
you could, but like, okay. What I would say is this: I don't think you are a dumb architect. I think you could be an architect who doesn't have maybe good social skills, right? But like, if you've seen the math and physics involved in architecture, getting through an architecture program is not light work.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's what I would say about the architect. Then you have
Yeah,
a
but then
physician.
it puts it on to that the people who get degrees in certain fields, all of them are, I guess, smart.
Okay, let's take Mike though. Mike is, what did we determine?
We don't know
was?
what he is.
Mike was like a stockbroker.
Something like that.
That's-
He work in finance.
So this scene would have us believing, because a lot of we were all like, what does Mike actually do? He appears to be something in finance, right? Like maybe a stockbroker or something. He talked about when the market went down and everything like that.
So, Mike, how'd you guys make out in the market?
Oh, my firm hell, man.
He probably has a business degree. Mike could very well be a dummy, right? It doesn't take that much to get a business degree. And I say that having one myself, but really.
Have you ever met any dumb doctors?
Have I met a dumb doctor?
You probably don't know they was dumb. See the problem that we get into? Now it's that people of a certain class are smarter.
No. Well, have I met dumb doctors? I would say that there are dumb doctors, but I would say you're dumb for whatever reason. Like, why are you dumb? Like, I've had, let's take it like this. I've had people who, like physicians, who will try to tell you something and want to talk over you or think they talk. I mean, we've had this experience. We're talking to a physician, in while they're doing their business, right? They are a physician.
Talk to physicians who can't seem to logic.
And they seem very illogical. Now, what happens, I think, a lot of the times is that they have a certain protocol that they're not wanting to expose to us that, hey, no matter what you say or do, this is what we're going to do. And then they try to make a logical argument for that just doesn't work with somebody who is a thinking human being.
Then we can just basically say that people in certain professions aren't dumb. It's just where we would have to end. Exactly. When we talk about class this whole time, people who are children of certain professions become that. It ain't just, they just the smartest of society that they become this. It's because of the stuff in place that only allows for a certain class to do these certain things or certain people from certain backgrounds.
What about
advance.
A basic level of under? You know what I'm saying? Like, what if we say that there's a basic level? And I'm not going to say you're. So to me, dumb is the low end, right? Are you dumb or are you smart? Now, I would say that I have met plenty of professionals who are not people I would say are smart or intelligent.
In the way that we're talking about Marcus is the thing.
Okay.
How he's played as, the so-called dumb jock. So can the architect be this? I'm pretty sure they can. I'm pretty sure they can pass some math classes and whatever and get a job. I'm pretty sure millions have probably done it. Maybe not millions. I don't know how many architects there are out there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it can happen.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think that it could be anybody, but it's very easy to put it as the
then
sports,
dumb or smart is
athlete.
Such an unquantifiable thing.
Yeah,
too.
it's very
it's very, because it's so
it could be
loaded.
ditzy or whatever.
It's very loaded because a lot of times people will call you dumb because, or will act as if you're dumb or feel that you're dumb because of the way you present, and just because you're different.
Yeah,
right?
Or like trouble communicating.
Mm-hmm.
Not even trouble, just the way you communicate could be different. It could be an accent.
Yeah.
It could be not being quick-witted. All sorts of things. Being shy.
Yeah.
Mike brought up, at his firm, they kind of survived it, but this one guy who was a trust fund baby basically offed himself.
He's a trust fund baby. In fact, I got to tell Sheila about that because we had dinner with him a couple times.
And he needed to tell Sheila that. Trust fund baby is a very specific term about class.
Yeah.
It's not looked at the same way as if calling someone ghetto, though.
No.
Right? But all it is, you call somebody ghetto or a welfare queen, right? It's, you're so bad, you don't work and you just got living off of the few $1,000s from the government, right? But a trust fund baby, someone or something, provided a trust for them, and probably a good bit if you where more than the welfare queen or the ghetto person, and just basically, just live off of that and live good from not your own work.
Right. And I think that is where the dividing line is. None of the people here are, quote, trust fund babies. Like, they really wouldn't qualify in that. I don't feel like it, because I think part of what Mike is saying here, he's communicating that the trust fund baby is the one who jumped from the rooftop. when times got tough. And I don't think that they view
Yeah.
themselves. I think they, even though they're professionals and they're of a certain socio and economic class, they're not in the trust fund baby class. And I think they are, in a way, it's like a dig, like you're looking down on it. Yeah, he jumped from the roof. Yeah, we had, he was unstable,
Yeah.
right? You know?
Mhm.
So,
And it's
it's a criticism.
some people, I think it may be one person in the comments about Troy, about Robin and Mike
Robin?
in Waiting to Exhale.
Oh, okay.
Was
about
that
Robin and
Michael was possibly a trust fund baby?
Interesting.
Is it Michael? Yeah. Wendell.
Yeah, the one who was
Wendell Pierce.
Wendell
character.
Wendell Pierce. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't really fully
And
considered that.
Now
Mhm.
that I'm saying this, it just seems like Tyler Perry done took characters' names from Waiting to Exhale, because I was getting confused. I was like, Troy, Michael, wait, hold on, what's going on?
Did he take
Troy
the
and
names from
Michael.
Waiting to Exhale?
It's Troy and Michael, who Robin was with.
Okay, let's talk about it. Troy was the guy who had the leather
Yes.
suit on, the leather in the summertime, and had the kid and all that on the balcony scene. That was Troy. Then you have Michael, who was the Wendell Pierce character, the one who was a little pudgy, that worked with her.
Yeah.
And
Who was Leon?
Leon was Russell.
Russell.
We didn't get a Russell in this movie.
Yeah.
That would have been the telltale. He didn't want to do it. He didn't want to take it all the way. But okay, Michael is like one of the most common names under the sun.
But Michael and Troy both dealing with the same woman.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Okay. Listen, why are you trying to drop all these revelations? I guarantee some of these connections are connections you're not going to hear anywhere else.
No, you're definitely not. This is what happens when I watch movies and stuff, though, and talk about them.
Well, because we're sitting there like brainstorming stuff, or you're like, hey, what if this is how we came up with most of those fan theories that we have on the Axiom Amnesia channel. That's not this channel, but the other one. Is just, well, what if, well, wait a minute, did you see that? And I mean, even other stuff that we never caught, like how Michael from Waiting to Exhale, how he basically took the condom off and tossed it away. Some of you swear that that's the wrapper he's tossing, but if you look closely, he's tossing the condom
It's
away.
the condom. Because in the scene, what happens was he had trouble putting it on, and then he got frustrated and threw it away.
Yes.
That's not throwing the wrapper away, but, you know,
Mhm.
I like to look at the movies
context
in the context.
as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then people try to explain away, oh, it's just a bad edit. Okay. All right.
No, it's
Yeah.
not a bad edit. It's you throw two different things away when you have
It's he threw the
a condom and a
away.
wrapper. So
Nobody caught it, though. That's what happened. Forrest Whitaker put that Easter egg in there and you didn't catch it.
man, I don't know how nobody caught that.
Well, I didn't catch. I mean, I've seen that movie a gajillion
I've been
times.
seeing that forever. I just never.
And I never caught it until we were doing the video about it.
Oh, well.
It's just, you know,
Stuff
'cause you're
happens.
a casual viewer. So anyway, so back to this whole idea. I was saying that Angela is actually smarter than
Marcus. Yeah.
That's just what it is.
So, yeah.
And I think that creates perhaps some level of issue between the two of them, right? Because think about it. Angela, and this is why she might be treating him like a child in some ways, because she's like, I can't even talk to you. I can't even explain to you how I came up with the chemical formulas for whatever.
She maybe just got with him for the money, right? Dumb athlete, got some money.
Could be, or they just, I don't want to think that about Angela, but
I don't know these people.
You
they
know,
made up.
I don't know. I think she probably really, did like him and love him. And
Yeah.
I think she loves him. I don't think it was about that. But what I do think
But the
is
money
that,
can be a thing, right? All these things add up to why you would get with someone.
yeah.
Maybe if he was the same guy and he was intellectually superior, then maybe it wouldn't have worked out. Maybe he wouldn't have been arguing back and forth with her so much.
Well, yeah. I don't know. But I do think that could be part of their issue that they're having there. You guys let me know. Do you think Angela is smarter than Marcus? I think he is. But tell us what you think in the comments. So anyway, they've had this whole trip and everything. Well, how has it advanced the storyline of Angela and Marcus? It just solidified for me that Marcus is playing the typical dumb jock trope.
Nothing that happens on this trip advances it at all. The only thing that happened was she talked about the phone thing. That's it. even later on, nothing really. Well, we'll talk about that later. But yeah, nothing here advances. I don't know why they're in these scenes, but for comedy, I guess. Oh, he was a lie detector. They advance other people's story.
Okay, that could happen.
Yeah, crutch character.
He got mad because I said we spent our last.
So the ladies are together and they are having a massage and in the spa area, and they get to talking. Of course, they're talking about their relationships, and we see where Sheila is explaining how Troy was upset that she had said that they spent their last to be there on this trip. And she asks the other ladies if she was wrong. Angela says, well, did you spend your last? And then Sheila's like, yes. And she said, then you weren't wrong.
Was I wrong?
Did you spend your last?
Yeah.
Well, then you weren't wrong.
So I think this tells us a lot about Angela, though, as a character. She's going to be very transparent. She's not into the, I'm going to say this to make you feel better, or I'm really like thinking about
or
your
who
feelings.
You say it in front of.
Who you say it in front of. Exactly. She's like not that, to me, she's not that socially sophisticated in terms of playing this game of that the rest of the group plays, right? Socially.
I don't know, but is it a game?
Well, I mean, I call it a game, but basically what they're
game
what the
has
social,
certain connotations.
Okay, so she's not with the same social norms as the majority of the rest of the group that she's dealing with, right? Their norms of decorum would say that when somebody does something rude, you don't get rude right back to them. That there's a certain way you conduct yourself. You should be loud. You should not be loud.
Yeah,
and
but more
boisterous,
specifically, we're talking about her saying things that are true in front of people that could be embarrassing. Right.
And she's just not. That's not how she operates. She just feels like you're not wrong if you're speaking the truth. That is Angela's feeling about it all.
Yeah.
So that says a lot about her. Her position on transparency.
Yeah. And she basically just says Troy needs a job, right? But then if he get a job, he gonna start talking back.
And then when he gets a job, he's gonna start talking back to you.
He gonna be staying out late. He gonna tell you how much money he's making, how much more he's making.
And how much he making more than you, and how he could be doing better than you.
Dr. Patricia says, you sound jealous.
You sound so jealous.
Right? When she says all this stuff, because it's insinuating that, she's talking about Marcus. But I don't know if jealousy is the word, right? Because she's talking about actual grievances. Like she was making good points about what was going on with her relationship with Marcus, but it's because it's her and how she said it. Then she's jealous of her husband, who would be so-called staying out late, throwing it in her face of how much more money he's making than her. Just constantly talking about how much money he's making.
I don't want to control him. I just want him to do what I say.
Well, okay. So I think we have to rewind and look at the history of that relationship, at least the part that we are aware of from the last movie, where she was constantly talking about how much money he was not making. So it will make sense that this will be the thing that he's touting. But I want to start with the very first thing she says, which is that he's going to get a job and then he's going to start talking back. Who talks about their husband in this way, like he talks back to me? That sounds like something that you say to don't talk back to me is what you say to a child. And so I feel in a lot of ways like I don't even want to use this word because it sounds all, but infantilization, right? Of this man, like you're acting like he is a child. And in her mind, I think maybe that's how she started to categorize him, because she felt like she had to take care of him financially. She had to deal with his mess. And, so he's like a grown child who now is out of control. She even talks about how, because Pat says, hey, maybe you loosen up your grip and that'll give you a better. And she's like, he gonna run like a wild dog if I loosen my grip.
God loosen up my grip, he gonna run like a wild dog.
Why do you feel like you need to have a man on a leash? I mean, or anybody on a leash for that matter, but you're controlling him the way somebody would try to control their children. And actually, even these days, people don't control their kids like that.
Yeah, but I think talking back couldn't just be that when she says something, he has a retort, right? Because the other thing she said, it doesn't matter if in the last movie that she was saying those things, but to just tell somebody, I'm making this much more money than you. Like, it doesn't matter that 2 years ago, she was talking about how he don't make money. Or if he's constantly talking about how much money he's making and it's not something that she's interested in talking about, but you just keep bringing it up,
Okay.
then, I think that's a grievance.
I think that it's fair, and I think that if that grievance is accurate to reality, then I would agree, that is kind of
Yeah,
off
if it's
base.
accurate, yeah.
But this is clearly her side of the story.
But if somebody were to tell me this, then my response would be, you sound jealous of your spouse because they're so-called treating you this way. If you believe that they're doing this, wouldn't it be like, hey, dang, is he really saying these things? Not to turn it on the person, to say that you're just, you have some feeling about how they're talking to you.
Well, I think that they all have feelings that are basically unspoken about Angela and the way she conducts herself. And I think that that informs the assessment of what they feel is going on in her life.
Everyone has a negative view of Angela. All the dudes, it's like, your wife is wrong. She's always wrong. It seems like all the friends, they're just always anti-Angela. Everything she says is just wrong. Like, we asked, why is Mike there? But why is Angela and Marcus there? Like, dang. Who have shown?
But the guys seem to like Marcus, even though they use him as the butt of the joke.
But it's his wife here, too, who everybody's talking about negatively. But has anybody shown that they respect Angela?
No.
Has Sheila?
Well, and this is, and later on we see it, so I'll hold it for later. But I feel like that's why I felt like Sheila was a bit disrespectful to Angela when she confronts her drinking later in the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll get to that. So the thing is, when the one thing you want, you get, right? She wanted him to have a job and be a provider and all of that, and he gets that. Then the other things that come with that were things that she hadn't wished for. Plus, now he is not the same man that he was before the X number of years where he didn't have a job.
Yeah, because part of it is he was kind of where Troy is in this movie. Right. I was feeling mighty down. I was feeling mighty low, right? And then he got his.
I seen you in the store, Miss Celie. Yeah.
Yeah, he got his job, and then it's like, oh, it doesn't win no matter what.
Yeah,
he's partying and stuff. Now,
right. Yeah.
What if he's trying to make it rain on her at home and stuff?
He's up. And I think it's, she feels maybe a little insecure and uncomfortable. Because the other part about it is that part of her security, I feel like, was that what is a broke man going to do?
Yeah, but I think it can be true that she is jealous of him and him being, I guess, just making more money, right, than her and having the ability to make money. And it'd be wrong that with the way she talked about what he's saying doesn't sound like she's jealous.
Yeah, I think that's possible.
But she just has to be wrong no matter what, because this group is anti-Angela.
But she ends it up by saying, y'all think I'm the problem child, but I'm gonna get y'all to talk about your situations too, because she does make the point that to Patricia, and we're gonna have to unfold Patricia's story, because she makes the point. She said, you could look at everyone else and see their problems.
How you can look at everybody else and see their problem. Let me get a few drinks up in y'all, and then we'll see what's really going on.
But the funny thing is, she didn't say the rest of that sentence, which is that I know something is going on with you, though.
Yeah. But see, they're supposed to be friends. These are 4 women on vacation, you could call it. And the only thing we know is going on in their relationships is that Sheila said, we spent our last and we just hear everything from Angela and Marcus. So this group of women don't talk about their relationships with each other. I ain't a woman, so I don't really know what's going on in the women's circles, but I would think that women are just talking about what's going on. And Angela's like, yeah, y'all not saying nothing, but I'm gonna get y'all to say something.
Yep.
So, but it indicates that we don't know that they're not saying anything.
Well, after what happened before, I don't know if I want to say nothing around them.
Why is y'all even together?
Because if y'all tell y'all husbands and then they tell Mike.
They might tell Mike right here on the trip.
Ooh.
But Sheila already done told Mike.
Boy, oh boy.
Marcus, what you got?
I got 5 and a possible. Oh, give us bored, man.
So later on, the couples are all outside, and Marcus and Angela are playing spades against Troy and Sheila. And, a whole lot is going on in the scene, but to cut it down to what's really happening with Angela and Marcus, first thing I want to say is Angela is ready to defend Sheila. I realize now that has just become the dynamic, because when Mike comes and he's saying something and he's being mean to Sheila, in the past, the person who Sheila used to be before, when she couldn't defend herself and through the abuse of her husband and all that business, in the last movie, Angela was the only one who would really stand up for her. So Angela goes to stand up for her, and then Sheila's like, no, I got it, to Angela.
I was talking to him.
And she was talking to you because Angela, I got it.
And then she gets on Mike's case. But basically, Mike is just there to antagonize both Sheila and Troy. And, Angela gets a few snide remarks in. But that's one thing that I realize is that Angela truly tries to be a good friend to Sheila, and continues to try to defend her. Next thing that happens during the game is that I think Terry's phone rang or some type of notification went off. They could hear it, and then one of them went to check the other one's phone and
Video or something. You check it?
Yeah. Diane can check the messages.
So then, of course, Angela uses this as an opportunity to pressure Marcus for his cell phone password. Like, look, they check each other's phones and have each other's password.
Okay, so she has his password too.
Why don't you, let me do it? So then, of course, Marcus reneges the game.
Hey, you reneged. No, he didn't. Yes, he did. That's 4 books for us.
No. And they lose. And he's like, I'm tired. I got to go upstairs. Know what I'm saying?
I'm tired, you know what I'm saying? I gotta get some sleep.
So, of course, he was lying. He just doesn't want to be badgered about this password for his cell phone.
Marcus, no, that is not right. How you going to just renege like that and get all tired?
And I don't understand why she keeps bringing it up in front of everybody, as if.
She bring up whatever when she want. Doesn't matter who's around or anything.
Zero discretion.
Sheila was in school and Mike was looking for a job when they first moved to Atlanta. Did she transfer to school in Atlanta?
I don't know. It's so confusing.
Still in school. Yeah.
So she was in, I don't know. Did he transfer in? It's confused. Like the little tidbits that they throw out just don't make sense.
But he said when we moved, when we first moved. So
maybe their HBCU that they went to wasn't in Atlanta.
And then they all, after college, moved to Atlanta.
Yeah. Although as many HBCUs as there are in Atlanta, I defaulted to thinking they must have gone to one of those.
I thought that they all went to school in town, I guess, since they're all there, and then they just ended up here.
Yeah.
But maybe they're outside. They're the outside crew. But if she was still in school, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, more problems with the writing. But let me know in the comments if y'all figured that out. Somebody please explain that to us. Yes.
In a logical way.
What is Angela reading in bed that night? None other than Pat's book that's giving her some probably erroneous advice. But she's reading in bed, and then Marcus is text messaging something, and then he comes back to bed after he's done. And she's like, what you got to hide, Marcus?
Marcus, what you got to hide?
I don't know how many times I gotta tell you, nothing.
And I'm just like, okay, if you really want an honest answer, is that how you approach this dude? And so then they still argue over this password. And he's basically like, I'm not giving you my password. You should trust me, kind of thing.
Look, I'm not giving you my password.
Why?
And then she brings up the past with his baby mama and all of that stuff.
Because you ought to trust me.
Marcus, do you remember Keisha and the penicillin shot?
And a penicillin shot when is basically she said that she the one who brought the disease in.
Yeah. Some of y'all argue that she was just saying that to save face and that she wasn't really cheating on him, but I don't think so. I think she was. But and then he's like, have I given you any reason since then? It's been over 3 years, blah blah blah. Have I given you reason to doubt me?
Baby, that's been over 3 years. Have I given you any reason to doubt me since?
And she's like, yes, because you won't give me your password, essentially.
Yes, since you won't give me the password to your cell phone.
Yeah, I just think that these characters aren't developed enough. They don't have an arc. They're not moving anywhere. This whole time on this trip, just when we introduced to them, they're just arguing. They keep arguing. They bring up this thing with this password of the phone, and now that's everything we see from them is talking about this cell phone.
Yeah.
It's
You're just stuck on the cell phone
Nauseating.
conversation over and over.
Yeah, it's like there's nothing new to say about them because nothing new is happening.
And the comedy here is when he's like, all right, here's my password, and he spells out go to hell.
It's G-O, the number 2, H-E-L.
Yeah.
That was the high comedy of that particular scene.
But can she be smarter than him if it took her that long to realize he spelled go to hell?
Shut
It
up.
took her about 5-6 seconds.
Maybe she's smart in some areas, not in other. Maybe her reading comprehension is low, but she's smart in math and sciences. She got that STEM work, but she just not good in English.
Yeah, it could be.
You know, I mean, it could be a lot of reasons, maybe. I don't know.
He stopped using sports analogies.
Let's see if he does any more in the movie.
You know what? Let me find out you messing with some chick.
Look, I'm not talking to you about this anymore.
So as the scene continues, they are going back and forth over this password. She's getting herself all upset. And he's like, you know, you crazy.
Because you're crazy.
I'm crazy.
And she's like, I'm crazy, but then you do things like, and then she lists all the stuff that he's been doing.
But every time we go to dinner, you lay your cell phone face down on the table.
Coming home late, had lipstick on his collar, smelling like perfume.
And you come home late from work all the time.
I have late games.
He looks at his messages away from her. He doesn't want her to see the messages and stuff like that.
And then when you get text messages, you read them away from me like you...
I would admit that, you know, his behavior just feels a little suspicious the way she describes it, for sure.
Because you come home smelling like cheap perfume with lipstick on your collar.
Yeah, but she's only saying this because she wants the password. Like, dang. So I guess we learned something new, but he was already a cheater in the first one, right?
Well, okay,
So,
and what caused all these problems? We told y'all in the last video that Patricia been ruining marriages for some years, and in her book is continuing to ruin the marriage because she's reading this book in bed, talking about the acronyms that Patricia said.
And Patricia, she even gives an acronym in her book for trust.
Taking everything that Patricia
Yeah.
said like it's the golden rule, and it's causing problems.
yeah.
She wouldn't even be thinking about this password
But,
if it hadn't been in the book.
so let's say he cheated and you think of it as broken trust.
Mhm.
The book is so he cheated. Now what? The trust is broken. So how are you really going to be doing any of these other stuff? And
Well,
what
she's
is-
in that situation, right? He cheated. Now
Yeah,
what?
but I'm saying like, okay, that's some broken trust, but the stuff that you say in the book is going to be probably about trust and stuff.
Hopefully rebuilding it, but it
Yeah,
doesn't seem to be
but-
working for her.
Yeah.
But you know what I would say too, like seriously, if you've done what Marcus has done now, she supposedly cheated too and brought the venereal disease into their group. But I will say this. If he has been habitually cheating on her and that is part of the reason that she's acting like she's acting and they've agreed to move forward, then I do think that you lose some trust and privacy on some level. Like,
It depends on what the books say.
forget the book. We already know Patricia is just a bad source for these things, you know, but no, like you don't get to just be cheating and then be like, but I deserve my privacy and I'm still move and operate just like I did when I was cheating. Right. I think if you want the marriage to work after the cheating and the infidelity, then you have to be more transparent. And some of that is going to involve doing things that you wouldn't have had to do if you weren't a cheater.
Yeah. But she did too, though.
Yeah, that's true too.
Talk, communicate, which is what I'm trying to do with you right now.
But I mean, okay, so is she gonna open her phone? He don't even want to see her phone. He don't care.
No, yeah, exactly. That's it. But I just think it's another strike to the movie, right?
Yeah.
Because I guess it's playing on these gender roles sort of things too, right? It just has to be the woman that's nagging about this password. So, you know, after he don't give it to her, they're still going through whatever.
You want it?
Yes, give it to me, Marcus.
I know what you want.
Give it to me.
You want it?
And he's like, so you want it, so you want it, so you want it. And he wrestles her down
I know what you want.
Marcus, I want that password to that cell phone, Marcus. Stop it.
like Jody and Yvette
And
on
Baby Boy. Mhm.
And then she keeps saying to keep hitting home about, I want the password. I want the password. Come on.
Give me the password. Give me the password. Oh.
Yep.
It's very annoying.
And then he just basically uses sex to shut her up. That's basically what he does.
Well, he believes that she's only does this so that they could do the makeup thing, right?
So he's like, get to it because you're getting on my nerves. So let me just give you what you want and call it a night.
So throughout the movie, we hear Marcus always say, you know what I'm saying? He's like, I'm tired. Know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
But when they're talking like this, he doesn't say, you know what I'm saying. It's supposed to indicate to us. You can't just indicate sometimes and not. But I guess you can say that when he says it is definitely a lie. But when they used it on the boat, him not saying it was indicating that he wasn't lying.
Definitely the truth. Yeah.
So you can't go back and forth like that. He has to say it for every lie. So if he say, I ain't doing nothing, I ain't hiding nothing, know what I'm saying?
I think that, okay, so do you think he's cheating on her in this moment? Like, would you say that he's cheating?
Well, based on what I know, I've seen the movie.
I don't think he's cheating. Right. When I look at this, I don't think he's necessarily cheating, but what I think he wants is, I did all this dirt in the past and I want to still be saying that I have all the same rights that I had before I violated our marriage. Right. That's where I think he's wrong.
Yeah.
Like, it's unreasonable after, you know, what you've done to then, and we talked about this in the last movie too, because really it was all made. Angela's the one who's all wrong. Everything about Angela was wrong. But we don't really get a whole thing about how he contributed to the dynamic between his baby mama and his wife. And the fact that he was still going over there sleeping with the baby mama.
Yeah.
You know, that wasn't addressed. And just like her infidelity wasn't really addressed in that last movie.
Because their characters have nothing to do with that. It's just for the cheap laughs.
Yeah.
And I guess the drama too, because it's over the top drama.
So I don't know. That's how I feel about it. But yeah, he just basically gives her this sex and
he gives it to her. She didn't even ask for it.
You know, I was just like, okay, wait a minute. At what point is this? I felt a little cringe about this. Was made in what, about 2010? I felt like this wouldn't pass the Me Too sniff test.
I think it would because they're married, right? And then it didn't get too far until she did the S in the trust acronym submit.
Yeah. But she was like, nah, we ain't gonna talk about that because I ain't gonna submit. But yeah.
S is for submit. I ain't doing that.
And then like, yeah, I did like this touch of the stupid acronyms in Patricia's stupid book about, you know, trust, T for this. And, you know, I appreciated that because that's how a lot of that self-help madness was.
I was waiting to see what that last T meant.
But what I also will point out is that Marcus and Troy were on the same page this night because that's basically what Troy does too. When he's in the bed with his wife and they done had this conflict or whatever all over Mike and whatnot, and the fact that Sheila been running her mouth, then when it's all said and done, he basically offers up the sex.
That's what all men do.
Shut up. Well, that's according to Tyler Perry, that's what men do.
Yeah.
You know, literally in back-to-back scenes, this is what we see happening.
Oh, maybe they're on the same trajectory. Are they the same couples though? Like, because I pointed out earlier, well, now your boy is the one who don't have a job. But he's not getting accused of cheating. So.
Well, Sheila ain't making no plans to go to work, so she ain't never gonna be Angela. That man didn't have no job. They was about to lose the house. Sheila was like, well, I don't know what we gonna do. I'm gonna just borrow this money from my friends. It was never like, I'm gonna put this marketing degree to use or whatever the hell, you know. Oh, Sheila was like, I got this baby. I ain't going to work.
I like the way you dress. I like the way you smile.
So in the next scene, all the ladies are at the beach and everything. And you see Angela's the only one who was in the water. And it starts out with this shot of her in this green bikini and she's coming out of the water. And let me just say, I have to give Angela her body because her abs are just on point all the way. And, you know, she is coming out the water and everything. And she goes over to the girls and it's like, she's the only one who wants to have fun. They're just sitting there being fuddy-duddies. And she's like, well, come on, you want to get in the water? They're like, no, I just got in. I'm not going to get blah, blah, blah.
Come in, it's so warm out there.
Nope. Next thing you know, while she's standing there, then this dust like hits her in the face. She's like, what in the heck is that?
What is this?
I'm so sorry. It's a wind.
Turns out it is the ashes of this elderly couple's friend.
Voodoo king and queen dropped chicken dust in my hair.
Who they were trying to spread in, you know, on the beach or in the water or whatever.
Please forgive us, but these are her ashes.
First, it's a cheap laugh, bro.
It was a cheap laugh.
It doesn't make sense. Well, how is they spreading these ashes?
I don't know.
You're not close to the water. You're just gonna spread it into the sand.
First off, I need
close
to know.
To people.
Did you want your friend to be on the beach or in the water?
Exactly.
Was she supposed to mingle with the sand, or in which case you could have just put the ashes down in the sand?
Even if it was in the sand, you know how close you have to be to them for that much of the ashes to get on her?
It's like 5 feet away.
Because if the wind took it, it would have been dispersed a lot more. They just dumped it right on her.
On top of her head and everything. So she, of course, freaks out and goes running and screaming into the water and is freaking out. And they have an entire conversation while she's in the water freaking out.
But first, who's the actors who are playing the couple?
Okay, we got to talk about Lou Gossett Jr. And if you watched Roots like I did this past weekend, Roots like my granddaddy would say, then you would know he was Fiddler on the original Roots in 1977. And of course, we also have one of Tyler Perry's favorites, actually, Miss Cicely Tyson, who was also in Roots playing Kunta Kinte's mother. Was it Benta?
Benta?
Yes, Benta in Roots 1977 as well. And you might have seen her more recently in one of Tyler Perry's other films, A Fall from Grace, which came out in 2020. Rest in peace to Cicely Tyson. And of course,
Autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman.
Yeah, amazing.
And shout out to Miss Jane Pittman's descendants, who in our comments said they were descendants of Miss Jane Pittman.
And for those of you all who don't know, that was a fictional account. So I don't know how you descendants of Miss Jane Pittman, but power to you. Maybe you're descendants of the person that she was supposedly based on, because y'all like to say that too. You know, that something was a true story because it was inspired by a different story. But okay, we digress. Cicely Tyson and Louis Gossett Jr., amazing veteran actors. That is one thing I love that Tyler Perry does, is he makes sure that our veteran actors are brought back into the fold and introduced to some newer generations. Young folks y'all probably don't even know who these actors are, do you? They were amazing actors, especially in the 1970s and 80s.
Especially Fiddler. Want to play some music I want to hear. Play my
Y'all better
own.
Go watch Roots. I know how you feel about it, though. Y'all already told us
To
how you
rewatch
feel.
Roots and Queen the same weekend. I don't think we finished Roots.
I didn't watch the last 2 episodes. Are kind of like a little more sketch to me. I like the earlier episodes. And then I only started Queen. I didn't continue Queen starring Halle Berry.
When Chicken George go on his own, then, you know, with his family, then it's a little change. See, if y'all don't know Roots, y'all won't get this. Instead of doing like sports metaphors, I'm going to just do Roots references.
Metaphors and analogies.
Yeah. And if you didn't watch Roots, you just ain't going to get what we saying.
Miss out. But so she's running around on this beach like crazy.
Is there anything we can do?
He's running around like Chicken George when Massa Tom said he was going to give him his freedom.
No, running around like Chicken George when he got that hat and became Chicken George.
He running around like Chicken George when he wanted to get Nat Turner's boys peace.
Y'all better watch Roots.
Attitude. Now look at these young people today. My heart bleeds.
The couples all get together and they have invited this older couple to come and dine with them and sit around the beach and talk about why did I get married, and listen to them tell their stories of why they got married.
They didn't make it to that part in part 1 of this movie because
know,
Mike
right?
just ruined that.
But they sat around and everybody's telling their story. You know, we hear the end of Diane and Terry tell their story. We also see Sheila talk about how wonderful Troy is and how amazing he is, and Troy talk about that. And then we get to see the older couple talk about how they got together, and it's an interesting little story they tell. Funny thing is that Angela and Marcus's reasons for why they got married must have hit the cutting room floor on editing, or they just didn't think it was worthwhile.
Bruh.
Because they were totally skipped over. Okay, what happens is each of the couples go. We hear the end of Terry, so they must have gone first, maybe. But we hear the end of Terry and Diane. Then we actually see Sheila, and then we see the older couple. And for the bomb finale, we see Patricia gets up there, and then she got the nerve to sit up there and then say, hey, me and Gavin are getting divorced. And she ain't even told Gavin they getting divorced.
She took She took the advice from Angela.
She took her own advice.
That's why they're showing
from her
us.
book.
Angela said, hey, y'all ain't saying nothing. Get some drinks in y'all. They had drinks and did the why did I get married. She's sitting there getting these drinks and she like, guess what? Divorce. But
Say,
we'll talk about
I'm
that.
gonna just say it.
I just had to mention that, because she got that from Angela. But we're going to talk more about that when we talk about that couple specifically in another video.
So that's basically what happens, and then that ends it. And all the ladies come up and they are shocked to hear about this divorce. You leading the why did I get married for all these years, writing books about surviving marriage problems and this, and now you didn't announce the divorce. Okay, that is rocking all of their foundations for sure, because they all look up to them as a couple. That's what happens. All the ladies come up and then, the fireworks start going off and they hug on Patricia, to show we're here, to support you, just in a waiting to exhale kind of way. I in the background, I hear CeCe Winans and Whitney Houston singing Count on Me, that kind of thing, right? So that's what happens in this scene. So Angela is pulling up. Now they're back at home and whatever, living their normal life. Angela pulls up with the kids and they're going inside, and her nosy neighbor calls her over.
I really need to talk to you. It's so important.
And first thing the neighbor is like, I don't like the way he looks at me.
Come closer, please. It's private. I don't like the way he looks at me.
I assume talking about the gardener or whatever who's working in the yard. Like, lady, what are you even talking about?
What is he even doing? And
he just keep raking the same
is
spot
this like
over and over.
I have help neighborhood in 2010-ish?
Maybe.
I don't know. I'm not from Atlanta.
So certainly you probably got somebody coming doing your landscaping and your gardening and stuff, right?
Yeah, I guess I'm getting ahead of the movie.
So, so then the lady goes on and tries to politely explain that she is hearing certain noises.
What kind of noise are you talking about?
Well, it's from your bedroom.
Sex noises coming from Angela's bedroom that are embarrassing.
Sexual noises.
Every Tuesdays and Thursdays at noon.
Well, if you're at work, who is it that's making all that?
So Angela's like, what in the world? And so then, of course, Angela's like, I need you to watch my kids for a second, please.
Can you watch the kids for me for about an hour?
And you already know she's about to go turn up somewhere.
I want to watch my dad.
Okie doke.
There he is.
Angela makes her way to Marcus's job while the kids are at Miss Tannenbaum's house. The son is like, I want to watch my daddy. And he turns on the TV. Next thing you know, here come Angela.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Marcus!
Ma'am, you can't go out
to get intercepted.
What's this?
Angela.
Busting up on TV.
Live television.
Live TV. Talking about we're live, lady.
Marcus!
Lady, we're live.
I don't give a damn about you being live. How you doing, Rodney?
She like, I don't care who you been having in my bed on Tuesdays and
He
Thursdays.
having his whole wide receiver just going off.
Who the hell have you had at my house, huh? You are nasty.
Wow.
She was using them sports phrases and stuff.
Touchdowns. I'm in my bed. You nasty ass. I'm so sick of this.
But why is his kid just shaking his head? And then they used the kid for comedic effect. Talking about, wow.
Because the kids probably see them clown all the time. Think about it. The kids see everything, just being subjected to all this foolishness. So, she's screaming and he got to pick her up and carry her off the set. And then they arguing and everything. And in the back, and the way the guy goes to commercial is, he's like, we got some late-breaking Marcus news.
Well, evidently we have some late-breaking Marcus news.
We'll be back or whatever. And, they hit it to commercial, and then they go and try to eavesdrop on this argument between the two.
3 crazy people!
Oh, yeah. You know what, Marcus? You ain't seen crazy.
It is it's so ridiculous that it is funny.
She playing with his money.
Mm-hmm.
What was that video where we were talking about somebody playing with somebody's money?
That was the video with Diane and Terry from the Why Did I Get Married?
Oh yeah,
first
why
movie.
He's picking up the phone.
Yeah,
and,
canceling people calling from her job and stuff.
This is Angela messing with his money.
Yeah, straight up. You can't be and think about it. Something like that happened to them, you getting fired. These shows
it's
nowadays
over, bro.
Is not even. You ain't on the show.
You don't
no
get
more.
a second chance for
not
this.
from something like that.
Because it could happen again. You still gonna have the same wife.
How would they feel about the ratings though?
I don't know. They might have you have a show together.
Because
in 2023, y'all might get a show together.
That makes me think about TJ Holmes and the chick he was messing around with on that show they were together with, right? Because at first it wasn't clear that they would be fired for both of them being married and fooling around on the same show, right? And then the network was probably like, nah, this could go left easy. But they wanted them ratings because the ratings got boosted while they were coming on flirting with each other every day on the show when TJ Holmes was on Good Morning America, GMA 3, the third hour of that show. So, yeah, it kind of, you getting fired.
Yeah. But he grabbed her and took her off stage. They went to commercial break.
How many times I gotta tell you? Nobody.
You are such a liar.
Then they go on and they're arguing. She tells him he's like, you about to make me lose my job. She like, I don't care about this job.
You're trying to make me lose my job.
I don't give a damn about this job.
You about to lose your wife and your kids.
You about to lose your wife and your kids.
And then he brings on the infamous phrase he said from the first
Bruh.
movie. You so evil.
You're so damn evil.
Yeah, you ain't seen evil.
I hated that line in the first one.
And it wasn't any better in the second one. So he finally breaks down and he gives her the cell phone.
I'll give you the cell phone. Here you go. Take the damn cell phone. All right?
And he's like, the password is your birthday.
Password to my cell phone. And the email is your damn birthday.
And whatever. And then they have this whole dialogue about how her salon isn't bringing in money.
No, good and damn well, we need the money because your damn salon ain't bringing in jack.
So see, now we get a little more insight into what's really going on.
He said, I'm going through a recession like it's just her.
Because I'm going through a recession? That justifies you?
Did salons and stuff take a hit in that time?
Yeah,
Because I think it's something that everybody does.
2008, I think a lot of stuff got shook.
It's some of them certain industries where some things just don't slow down like that.
Well, I don't know. You might not have the extra money.
I'm
to get
sure
your
we
hair and
have
nails
people
done.
with salons. Yeah, you might not. So, some people in the comments will know how the housing crisis or the recession decade ago.
As hairstylists and salons.
Yeah, but in all of this, security never came.
Nope. They knew better than to call security up on her.
Bruh.
She was going to jail if they called security. So she says, I'm going through recession. So I feel like what's happening is the tables have really turned, because it's not like you kept the same money coming in that you had before when you used to be talking crazy to Marcus about him not having a job and that he worked for her and he works at her salon as a barber, right?
Yeah.
You now your money is low and he's up. Like it's a double whammy. And so I think that ego is getting hit. That's what's happening too.
So she owned the salon, but it had a lot of people in there. So maybe they pay her for chairs.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And probably got a little low.
Yeah, people branched out on their own. They couldn't afford that booth rent,
And did they own the building?
Ooh, I don't
or
know.
did you lease the building? Did you own the building? Did that affect you too? So
I mean, lots of things. Lots of things could be going on. But
we just know that it's bad for her.
A couple years after 2008, she just might have been going through a couple bad years, And so and he's like, we need this money and whatever. And then he actually says to her, get your ass out of here so I can make us some money.
Get your ass out of here so I can make us some money.
His best line in a way, not because of what he said, but just of how he said it. Because so much of the time he just comes up to the line and doesn't cross it.
The line I like was where he was talking about is it all of those people in your head going back and forth?
Are you listening to anything that I'm saying or just the crazy people in your own head?
You're making her out to be completely crazy. Yeah. He's like, are you listening to the people in your head? But I do think that there is a little bit of a light that's shined on kind of the things that could be going on in a woman's head versus the things that are going on in a man's head.
Wait, what?
Like his way of thinking is not her way of thinking. Number one. So he doesn't even I just think that he doesn't get her all the way. Yes, Angela is wild
Nobody
as hell.
gets her. Yeah. So that's the thing.
But
I guess.
But other women, any sane woman who was in a situation where your husband is coming home with lipstick on his collar, if everything she said was true, he's coming home late. Now you got the neighbor talking about, I'm hearing nookie sounds in the middle of the day.
It's going to bust into the job on live
They're
TV
not going to bust
do
in the
this.
job, but they're going to think something is going on, right?
Okay.
So to him, what made her crazy? That she busted into the show, or that she won't let this go? I think it's some of both.
Yeah, exactly. I just like that line that he delivered.
Crazy
line.
line.
That it means a lot to me. It's just like you so damn evil probably don't mean a lot to people, but they like to lie.
That line is annoying to me.
Yeah.
I don't like the way Tyler Perry tried to go back and like replay what he felt was his greatest hits from the first movie.
His greatest hits.
You know, I don't want to hear that.
Yeah, because when I seen it in the first one, I was like, what? This is very weird.
Mm-hmm.
He's cheating on her, ain't he?
Gavin.
Yes,
no,
didn't he? Come on, give up the goods, Diane.
So Angela goes to meet up with the girls minus Patricia, because Patricia is going through her own thing right now. And they all are at a bar having drinks and whatever. And they, of course, get into the conversations about what's going on with Patricia's breakup with Gavin. And Angela's like, he cheating on her, ain't he? Like, her default, like, this is the lens through which she looks at everything in the world. Every situation, every problem is because the man is cheating. And she goes on to talk about Marcus. And she's like, every time I caught Marcus cheating, I knew it before I found out.
Diane, every time I caught Marcus cheating, I knew it before I found out.
I listened to the voice, basically the voice in her head. Her intuition is what she listened to, that gut feeling telling her that something isn't right.
Because I know how to listen to that voice on the inside of me that tells me when a man is cheating.
But your gut could be off. That's the problem with some of this stuff. People, in my mind, but y'all would be busy counting up all the times you were right, but you ignore the times when you were wrong, when that gut instinct was off, when it was nothing and you thought it was something. So that's just my thought on that. Then we see this dynamic that we had hinted about earlier with Sheila. And Sheila's like, oh, girl, I don't know if you should listen to all the voices in your head because you smoke so much weed in college.
You smoke so much weed in college. Baby, you might not want to listen to that voice in your head.
So they were in college together.
Getting high.
After she moved to Atlanta.
Yeah.
Or
don't even try to figure that out. Ain't no figuring that out about when Mike said earlier.
But like I would hope that Sheila would be a better friend to her because everyone else just thinks of her as just, I don't know, just crazy, just a crazy person. And Sheila is like, yeah, you're just a crazy person. So she's just totally disregarded. So I guess they don't have any other friends and that's why they're here. But it doesn't look good when you write this into the movie like this, where this is the friend group. And I guess it can happen. So, yeah, it's just very strange.
And I feel like naturally Diane and Patricia were closer together as friends, because you got roommates. 4 women. Yeah, they were roommates. They were closer. And so naturally, maybe Angela and Sheila were closer. In which case, like, why is Sheila approaching Angela? And y'all go to the comments, let me know. In this scene, do you feel that Sheila was being a little bit insensitive? Because I do. Sheila goes on after she makes this joke about smoking weed, and she's like, but seriously, if you're always in a chemically induced state, you might want to reconsider everything that you're thinking.
If you're always in a chemically induced state, you might want to reconsider everything.
And while this is a very true statement,
yeah,
I felt that it just was so full of judgment. But what I did
know what that statement reminds me of?
What?
Axiom Amnesia. Because the meaning of axiom amnesia, if you know, you know. But she said, you may want to reconsider everything that you're thinking.
Yeah. That part of it, absolutely. And I agree with that in general, obviously. But it was so filled with judgment, I feel like, not like a loving kindness. It was kind of like
not a care, right? It's not like I care about you. This is an intervention. We need to go and get you checked in somewhere, take you to some meetings or something.
But I do like how Angela just sidestepped it because she was like, what, is this an intervention? Boom, boom, boom. And then she goes right on back to talking about what she was talking about.
What is this, an intervention? That has absolutely nothing to do with it.
Basically, the whole dynamic of between her and Marcus and cheating men and her philosophies on men who cheat. And she says something that I was just like, okay, Angela, you got to think about this a little bit more. Because she's like, I ain't got time to be sitting all around all day guessing.
I ain't got time to be sitting around all day guessing.
So this is the reason why she wants to check phones and go through stuff. She's like, I'm old school. I'm checking the phone.
You ain't got time, but
I'm
that's what
checking
you're
the
doing.
bank statement. Exactly.
Well, I'm checking his bank statements. I'm checking his credit card statements. I'm checking his time card at work.
This is you spending your whole life worrying yourself crazy about what could be going on.
I'm checking his cell phone bill, but I'm checking his mileage.
Yeah, and she say, oh, I'm checking the timesheet. I'm checking to see if the time he said that he was working, it matches up. But he probably not punching a timesheet. If you are at a job like this, that's very strange, bro.
Yeah, but I mean, we know that it's like probably an exaggeration. But the point is, it's just ridiculous extremes. And how funny that she's like, I don't have the time when you make the time to do the most.
I think it's supposed to be accurate. Because you talk about how much time it takes, how far it is to drive these certain distances.
His job is 10.5 miles. The kid's school is 2.1 miles.
What his resting heart rate is and all of that.
Do you check his pulse when he walks to the door?
His resting heart rate is 42 beats a minute.
That's her scientific mind. She probably can do them calculations like nothing, right? She's like 4.5 miles. So all she did is looked it up one time to see how many miles it was between the baby mama house and their house.
She say,
and she's like, I know
say
it's this much.
4.8 or whatever and a half.
Maybe she got OCD.
Bruh.
Or
that's my OCD.
Yeah, her OCD is acting
bruh,
up.
stop.
She starts calculating
my
odometer readings. But
she's also calculating his timesheet too.
Yeah, it's all math, right? Chemistry, math. She's she's good at math.
He's not getting hourly. But anyway, at first I was skeptical of his resting heart rate, but I looked it up and they say some athletes have heart rates like 30 to 40. Like that seems too low to me.
Like 42. But I thought, and this is just me off the top of my head, I thought the athletes with resting heart rates like that tended to be like marathon runners and people like that. Not like
a lot of
football player.
Stamina, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially football. You're not spending that much time. In a football game, the total amount of play is probably, 15 to 20 minutes. And we can look it up to be sure.
And then does it have to do with your muscle composition as well? Like, is somebody who's hugely muscular going to have such a low resting heart rate? I don't know.
Yeah.
These are things I wonder.
Yeah, so they say it's around 11 minutes.
In a whole football game.
That the ball is in play. But the game is 3 hours long.
5 hours. It feels like 5 hours. We're in football season now. You know, this is basically.
You think that I'm really going to let some other woman take all that on the job training?
So Angela is really, on her crazy super sleuth thing. And she comes hopping over the fence, over her neighbor's fence, to see where these noises that were coming in the middle of the day are coming from.
Oh, Angela, you scared me.
So long story short, she sneaks into the house. She goes into the linen closet. She's already got like a butcher knife in her hand. Then she goes into the linen closet, gets out the gun. And then she busts in the room. All the while you're hearing these sex noises. She busts in the room.
What the hell is you doing?
And then she like fires off a bunch of shots like aimed at just above the headboard. So she's hitting the wall with these shots and she's like, Marcus, who you got in my bed?
Marcus, you got some hoe in my bed. I could kill you.
And it is just the most maniac thing. I mean, it's more over the top than you could really ever imagine.
I bet everybody was cheering and laughing like crazy when this came out in theaters.
Yeah, because it's just so nuts.
Alex, what the hell are you doing in my bed?
It's so nuts. So then she discovers that it's the maid and the gardener doing the do.
You're supposed to be cleaning up this damn house, not sleeping in my bed.
So yeah, this is a neighborhood apparently where you do have help at the house, and her help was getting it on with one another, and that was the sounds that the nosy neighbor was hearing from next door.
Get your asses out of my bed and wash my damn sheets.
But I do want to say, like, with all of her antics and everything, and she has Marcus's phone now because he gave her the phone. Like, he's had warning that she wants this phone. Don't you think he could have wiped all his emails and changed if he was dirty like that? I don't think he was. But I'm just saying he had plenty of time and warning to get his devices clean, you know.
Yeah, so we'll see.
Oh, you would think she was feeling stupid because of what happened, but, you know.
Yeah. But leading up to her busting in the room, I really liked the music. It was really good. And I think that whoever made it or whoever played it, they was killing it on the organ. It was like, ooh.
Well, they're on the organ while she's about to bust in. And then on the way out, when she throws them out of her room, she like shoots one more time. Like, what the world?
This is Medea, since Medea couldn't be in the movie.
So she took on the spirit of Medea and then just acted a fool. But yeah, this was a rather funny part of the film. But yeah, Angela just being crazy.
So you working late again, Marcus?
Yeah.
You couldn't even call me to tell me that?
So Marcus comes home late again and he tries to sneak in and go upstairs. And Angela, of course, catches him. And she's just basically talking like, I've been calling you. You didn't tell me you were going to be late. And he says, you have my phone.
You have my phone.
So then they have this whole thing about the phone.
Yeah, and somebody's been calling your phone all day long and hanging up.
Baby.
Like somebody's been calling you all this time, all day. And then it comes again and she's like, hello, I can hear you breathing, blah, blah, blah.
Hello? Hey, you know what, ho? I'm sick of y'all calling this phone.
Marcus gets the phone and says, these are text messages. And he says you can't pick up the phone and talk to someone with text messages.
These are text messages. You cannot answer a text message by picking up the phone.
What did she press? Did she just pick up the phone and say hello?
And you gonna know
Don't
it ain't
you have
no
to-
open line.
Yeah, you got to flip it open back in the day, even before 2010, right? Or you going to press a button to answer the call.
Yeah, like, okay, so let me just spoiler alert, because this is to me the biggest fail. You done built it all up and done all of this stuff, and you're telling me that in the year of our Lord 2010 that maybe it's not the phone that's stupid, he actually says to her at one point, because she's like, that's stupid. He's like, maybe it ain't the phone that's stupid.
Oh, yeah.
The fact that she's supposed to be this super sleuth who knows all these details, and what you're telling me is she doesn't know about text message technology
Yeah.
in 2010, like, this is a major writing fail
And she
here.
wants to, catch him, right? But I guess if you unlock the phone by swiping or whatever, I don't know what the phones was doing in 2010. It's kind of hard to remember, and depending on your OS. But then she would think she answered the phone, but yeah, I'm a super sleuth, but I don't know that you're getting text. Wouldn't she know to let me go look and read his text messages?
Or if she clicked the notification. So yeah, like, you just know.
Yeah, you would know as a text because you're reading through the text messages.
Yeah. And people
She's the
were
worst kind
texting
of
at that
sleuth.
point.
So maybe she's just posturing. All this stuff she talked about, his heart rate, the timesheet, the mileage.
It's all a lie.
I want to know and I do this and that for the whole film. It's just peacocking.
But that doesn't go with who she is as a person. The transparency, the fact that she generally seems like a pretty straight up person.
Yeah, but
And you gonna lie to your girls about that? Like, I don't know.
she lied to her man about Walter.
Well, because she had supposedly had her wanting to catch him. I would just wait for you to let me know what's her
Yeah,
reason or
so-
whatever. I don't know.
But that's either it's terrible writing or I'm watching this movie and she just made up the fact that
I'm going
she was a super sleuth and
with
doing all this
terrible
stuff.
writing for 1,000, Alex. Because this is just...
It ruins the character.
It did. I mean,
the little
dang.
character that's there was ruined.
She was supposed to, okay, in
She
my
was
mind,
super scientific
she was
and
super
all that.
smart, and you telling me she don't know how to, I can't figure out a text message,
Yeah.
boss. And think about it. If you click on the notification when it pops on the phone, even if it was a text message, she would have been able to see the writing of the message, right?
Yeah.
She would have been able to read the message. Like, it's just a big fail. Y'all let us know in the comments.
Yeah.
Is this a fail? Because I can't with Tyler Perry trying to act like Angela wouldn't have been able to know how to
But-
operate no phone in 2010.
But he basically called her stupid though.
That is ridiculous. Some old stupid phone that can't nobody work.
Maybe it ain't the phone that's stupid.
Yeah, her
So
husband.
we kind of talked about you know, who thought of who as more intelligent or whatever. But he's just like, hey, maybe it ain't the phone that's dumb, that's stupid. Maybe it's
Angela could be stupid for a lot of things. And I'm gonna tell you what I think she's stupid for. She's stupid for running herself crazy over something that ain't gonna change her situation.
Yeah, but in the scheme of the movie, if she thinks that she is smarter than him, and then all of this happens, you doing all this stuff, you don't trust him, and it seems like you can't even get to the bottom of it. And then on top of that, he's cheating and all this other stuff. He making more money than you now. Your shop ain't doing well, and then he's like, "And you stupid."
Yeah, doesn't feel too nice, does it?
That's probably a dagger, and she might go upstairs and get that gun.
But you know what? I think too, let's just take this movie and the last film into account together. And I think that what we also are seeing is that Angela can dish it, but it's real hard to take it though. And it's hard to take it when it could be true, right? Because she don't seem really bothered by the stuff Mike says. You get her, you this and you that, right? But when the part that really hurts her is him maybe referring to her as being stupid, and then the other part where it's like your business, you're not successful. Right? That's essentially what it's adding up to. You're not successful when that was her thing from the previous film. I'm successful. I have a job. This is all mine. If it wasn't for me, you wouldn't have nothing. Like, this is what she was saying to this man. And how the tables have turned on her. And I just think sometimes it's hard to be in the shoes that you are comfortable with other people being in. And that's what we see with Angela right here. But he was wrong for that, calling her stupid.
So he's like, show me how to work this. He basically allows her to read the text messages somehow.
How you work this thing?
And she's like, wow, that's all from work.
Wow, that's all from work?
You still don't trust me.
Oh, honey, I'm so sorry.
So the thing about that is, so he was supposedly at work and he got a bunch of texts from work. At some point during the workday, they would be like, this dude ain't got his phone, so we could probably stop texting him. Like, why would there be so many texts from work at work?
Or maybe they're just like the automated mess where, I know one of my corporate jobs, it was like you would get texts of these like broadcast texts of lists, right? Oh, if you're on this team, then you get a daily update of this and that. Maybe it's something like that. Maybe they're not trying to quote unquote reach him, but it's just typical communication pieces from these.
Is it his work
jobs?
So never mind. Let's just keep
watching. Keep on. But what I hate is that at this point, she's all like, that's all for work. I'm sorry. I didn't trust you. Oh, baby. It's turning into like legit the same thing that she did in the first movie.
And she didn't even check, right? She didn't check the phone to be thoroughly. She just got into it. Oh, this is from work. Nothing's happening. Sorry, I didn't trust you. Bad writing.
Come here. Honey, I'm so sorry.
So then she goes all into, I don't know why I act so crazy, but I feel like you're going to leave me for some cheerleader someday.
Sometimes I feel like you might end up leaving me one day for some cheerleader.
Is that what you've been thinking about?
So what I appreciate is that at least she was honest about what the fear was and why she was tripping. And that could give him some information that could help him kind of be able to navigate things going on in the future.
Yeah.
You helped to exacerbate this insecurity she has about your fidelity. So if you're going to be with this woman, I think have an obligation to do your part to help with that, with mending that.
Yeah, so they didn't advance this story. So much of the movie is about, let me get your password, let me get your phone and all of that. And then they tried to cram everything into like a 2-3 minute finale. And then that's just what she should have done, apologized and stuff. That was a great scene.
It was. The music was playing.
Yeah.
And he was like, believe me, trust me.
Believe me, trust me.
And then she's like, why do you stay with me? He like, I love you, baby.
Why do you want to stay with me?
Baby, I love you.
One day you're going to be able to trust me again. And it was just all good until...
And then another phone starts to vibrate and stuff. Ruined the ending. Like, why did he ruin it?
What's that?
I don't know.
Because now you got us even wondering what the deal is, right?
Yeah.
So Marcus doesn't get to be like, I'm reformed, I'm not a cheater.
Marcus!
Remember back when we had that discussion about the first movie? Hey, what's the difference between Marcus and Mike? Because they were both cheating on their wives while the other two were not. Well, we said maybe Marcus, was not as bad of a cheater as Mike, not as blatant. Maybe he wants to reform. He was cheating with his baby mama, that maybe he had matured, right? That's what we're hoping in this moment. And then this phone is vibrating. And so
why can't the dysfunctional couple have a good ending? It's like we just have to have a twist at every turn.
Yeah. And they don't get a good resolution. So basically we are no further along than we were when this movie started. Nothing.
Nothing happened. It's like I didn't even have a story.
Nothing.
Can I get your cell phone? I need your cell phone. Give me the password. I need the password. I need the password. Here's the password. Look, no. Oh, I still don't have the password.
We talked for over 2 hours, but yet the movie, The Substance, was just not there with the resolution for this couple. I'm very, very disappointed. They did not get a good ending. And in fact, what Tyler Perry did with this ending is he calls into question Marcus's integrity. We want Marcus and Angela to be able to win.
It ended so nice where both of them was just we putting it all behind us. This is the second movie. You shouldn't anticipate doing another sequel. So you just got to wrap these things up tightly in a bow.
Well, and he BS'd, right? So I shouldn't say
another cheap drama-filled laugh.
Well, and he might have BS'd, right? So now everything you just said that was so sweet and so tender to make you go, okay, Marcus is mature. You now go, okay, is he cheating? Is that his baby mama on the other line? His side pieces? What is this? And I don't know how we make this work with this character. I guess on the one hand, Marcus may not have changed in his feelings of entitlement to his privacy.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm going to just send her off and give her this phone. And she can, and I can get away with it that way. Maybe he's not even cheating. I think it's a good chance that he's not cheating.
Yeah.
But he just feels like his privacy shouldn't be invaded, which to me is him not taking responsibility for what he contributed to these problems in the marriage in the first place.
Yeah, I guess
you gotta listen. She's like this in part, at least, because of how you acted. And he knows it and admitted it and sat up there and had a whole nother cell phone.
Yeah, but we know that he just says stuff that don't make sense anyway, right? Because you were talking about how his assessment of things was just wrong before. So, yeah, he might believe this one thing, but I just think it's just ruined. But the cheap laugh, and then he says, well, you had my phone, but here, you can take a look and see what's in here or whatever. But it's just ended up, I don't trust you. And she just tried to atone for all her stuff too. Now it's just back, like you say, back to where we started.
Yep.
It's, I don't know.
I don't know. I hate everything about the way this ended. But it was right there. We were right there. You had pulled the, horse into the barn, and all we had to do was close the barn doors, and then you let the horse get away.
But some people may say that this is realistic, that, stuff don't always have to be like a fairy tale, but that's just what you come to expect from a good story. Like, if you're telling me a story person to person, it ends with something bad that happened to you or no resolution, I'd be like, okay.
What you tell me that for?
Yeah. I'd be like, come back later when you have some sort of a something that seems like a resolution.
Let me know how it all turned out. Because I feel like you're leaving me on a cliffhanger if you don't, But I mean, at the end of the day, I guess what we can see for their future, because we do know they remain together. They didn't break up after this. They just start arguing, and then, they're back at square one. Nothing has changed. Absolutely. See, in the first film, I felt like at least something had changed. She had boundaries with the baby mama. They got at least closer on the same page. What's happening here?
Yeah, because they made up with the food and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Well, she made the dinner.
The meal for him and all that.
Yeah, and then it was like, bam. And that they still the same couple, but you have a resolution to this aspect of their lives.
Conflict.
Yeah, the conflict is over. Not we ended with a new one.
This is just continued conflict. It was like a false bottom to it was a false resolution.
Just wait until y'all hear us talk about Pat and Gavin.
Oh, and we got to save that for, because it's just going, is it going to fit in one video? Because it's such a mess. But I think that, at the end of the day, I don't know. Part of me wonders now that I look at this video, like, are they the best couple? Which is a sad thing to say for this film. I still think that Sheila and Troy might be the best couple, but they didn't really get a resolution. We talked about that in the last one. And then this was a piss poor resolution as well. So basically, after this scene, we don't really get much more about their actual storyline because the bulk of this film is really about Gavin and Patricia's marriage. So since that's the case, this is really where their story ends. We know that they're still together later on and whatever. But at the end of the day, the only thing that we get is the scene where after Gavin has his accident or non-accident, whatever, after Gavin has his meeting with Destiny, then they're at the hospital and they begin to hug and kiss at Patricia's urging, fix it. And,
Yeah, and that's it. So we had the first movie and this movie. And both of their conflict, their stories. Which one was better?
The first one.
Yeah. They focused too much on this cell phone and the password.
Well, okay, so here's the other part. I think that one area where we might be doing a little bit of a disservice is the fact that we are handling each of these stories individually, and the movie is not laid out that way. Some people said that they didn't even realize that Troy and Sheila didn't get a resolution in this film either until we pointed it out. And I think it's because what happens with other characters is so much bigger. But that loose end was not tied up.
Yeah, but that's how you look at there's different storylines that's going on. There's different arcs to the characters and character development and stuff like that. So then when you look at them separately, then you realize the shortcomings, right?
I would say this movie is already pushing 2 hours. And
yeah, you never know what was cut out because I'm sure a whole bunch, when you're trying to tell at least 4 stories, I'm sure a lot got cut out, especially he probably still had studios telling them, all right, we got to get it down to this. And it was probably stuff that messed with the rating as well.
Yeah.
Because he was pushing the boundaries with that church crowd still back then.
Yeah, he really was because it's risque.
If you made it this far into this nice long breakdown of Angela and Marcus's story, if you think he's cheating, type lie detector. And if you think he's not, type I want the password in the comments so we'll know you're one of the real ones who stick around to the end.
Thank you so much for your support of the channel. Be sure to go and subscribe to our other channel, Axiom Amnesia 2.0. It is on the screen right now. We need you to subscribe so that we can continue to bring you some of these amazing breakdowns of these movies that we all love.